I'm with Jeff on the Fernandes thing. I think Fernandes has been brilliant this season. I really do. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. I'm a wee bit surprised he got himself involved in that kind of stuff. And I'm a little bit surprised Vicario's getting himself involved in that kind of stuff with Gabby. But absolutely, I would defend the right to reply. But I think sometimes there's no...
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 10:01, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. As Oliver Glasner rides off into the sunset after winning the Conference League, former manager Alan Pardew's urging Crystal Palace to hang on to Adam Wharton.
Very much a key player in terms of opening the door for a team, and in the Premier League they're very, very rare. So I think he's a test for them. I'd love to see him stay at Crystal Palace another year, and I'm sure the fans would as well, who are still roaming around me here looking half days.
After an incredible night in Leipzig, Palace now into the Europa League, which they missed out on this season due to an admin error. We're told Barcelona want Anthony Gordon because he can play up front as well as wide. Our chief football correspondent is Alex Crook.
What does it mean for Marcus Rashford? That's the big question, because, of course, he's been on loan at Barcelona from Manchester United this season. There's an option in that loan to make his move permanent. I think Barcelona probably would prefer to loan him for another year.
We've heard Barca have agreed a £70 million deal with Newcastle for Gordon. Meanwhile, we understand the €100 million release clause in Bournemouth winger Ryan's contract can't be triggered till next summer. Bournemouth planning to hang on to teenage forward Junior Krupi as well. A German economist has told us Scotland's climate, sorry about this, Jim, is stopping the country from producing more world-class footballers. Jochen Clement is tipping Ronald Koeman's Netherlands to finally break their World Cup duck this summer.
There isn't a single weakness, and on top of it, they have a really good defense. And as we all know, attack wins matches, defense wins championships.
He's got England reaching the semis, by the way. And India's teenage batting sensation Vaibhav Suryavanshi is already being compared to Donald Bradman and Pele. The 15-year-old's broken Chris Gale's Tournament 6 record, 65 in the IPL so far. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Damning reviews raised fears for the UK's future working generation, and 18,000 homes and businesses in Kent are without water again. Amelia's got more at 30:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The season's changing, so get your car's shim pads and studs checked for spring with a free vehicle safety check. Book in centre or at quickfit.com today.
A dry and sunny day for most of us, very warm, hot in the southeast, a few showers knocking about later as well.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT. So, Crystal Palace beat Rayo Vallecano to win the Conference League. What is more unbelievable? Palace FA Cup winners or Palace European champions? Meanwhile, the Daniel Levy bashing continues. How much longer can the Spurs board play this card? Also today, has Anthony Gordon landed Barcelona? FIFA are subpoenaed. But what next? We talk boxing with fight pundit Spencer Oliver, and fresh from almost toppling Usyk, kickboxing champion Rico Verhoeven joins us live in studio. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
I was walking down this morning, Simon. Clive, the Arsenal fan, I think you set off late tonight. Something like a 30-hour drive to Budapest. Good luck, my friend. The journeys are beginning to happen from all parts of the country, Simon, as we gear up for another English club in another European final. But this is a big one, the Champions League.
Indeed.
Not that last night wasn't significant. Former Palace owner, Mr. Jordan, how did you feel?
Very pleased for the fans, obviously. I mean, it's a great achievement. Irrespective of what I think of the tournament, which I maintain with consistency, that when you compare it to the Champions League, it's the run to the litter. The conversations that we had in the past when O'Neill was in the studio, because he's a European Cup winner, is to say that this is a pub league by comparison to the Champions League. But if you're in a league, and if Roma can win it, and Olympiacos can win it, and Chelsea can win it, and it seems to be a London bias in this club, in this competition. West Ham, Chelsea and Palace, 3 of the 5 wins, and all English clubs have been from London.
Yeah.
So I think if you're in it, you win it. And Palace have done their job. It now provides a gateway to the Europa League, which is another stepping stone. Some would say justification has been done. I would say probably right, but if they'd got their house in order and done it properly in the first place, they wouldn't be playing in the European Conference League. But the fact that they've gone into the European Conference League and has won it, and then given themselves another season in the European landscape, it's actually probably better for Palace.
Where does it? Nobody better than you to ask this. Where does it rank in the history of Crystal Palace Football Club?
I think it's up. I mean, I think the FA Cup trumps it. But I think if you're in a competition and you can win it, whatever competition you're in, whether it's the ZDS Cup back in the day when Ron owned it, or whether it was a playoff final when I owned it, or when it's the FA Cup and the European Conference League under the Americans and Parishes ownership, you win them. So I think it's fabulous. I think it's a fabulous year. This 12 months of winning the FA Cup, of winning the Charity Shield, and of winning the European Conference League. It'll be interspersed by losing your manager during the course of it and issues and altercations. But at the end of the day, when the history books are looked at, this will be the most remarkable season that Crystal Palace has had, and difficult to see if they'll ever be able to eclipse it. But it doesn't matter. It's like asking a fighter when he's just won the undisputed championship of the world, is this your last fight?
Yeah, exactly.
Negative.
Exactly.
This is a brilliant achievement.
I wanted the fella from TNT on the pitch last night to put this to Steve Parish, so I'll put it to you. This success surely has to be tinged with regret. 3 trophies in 12 months.
Yep.
How on earth is Glasner being allowed to walk out the door?
Because the financial landscape and well-being of a football club supersedes the individual opportunities that might beset or might be available to Oliver Glasner. Now, clearly Palace have the money in the ownership model. They don't want to spend it. I don't think they're confined or constricted to a certain extent by SCR or by PSR. But they've made decisions to run the football club in a certain way, and I'm not going to criticise that because I think the club is more important than Oliver Glasner.
But why not run it that way with Glasner?
Because Glasner has different demands. Be under no illusion, despite the fact I think he's a brilliant manager, he's a very, very difficult character to deal with.
How about matching what he wants? He's a winner.
Because you can't just do that. It's not a simple case of that. The individual responsibilities that you have to run a football club in the best way that you possibly can has to supersede. There's no guarantee you give Glasner 150 million quid, he finishes 2 places up the league. What does that achieve for anybody? I know that football is beset by ambition and it's beset by emotion.
Simon.
I have the luxury of knowing what you guys don't know, which is I run a football club.
I know
how difficult it is.
And you do, I know.
I know the choices that you have to make.
Yeah.
And whilst I would want all the difficulty in the world heaped upon Parish, because I think he's a treacherous wretch, but I think as a Crystal Palace owner, I think he's been brilliant. He's been effective in a world where it doesn't matter how you get where you get to, and truth doesn't make any difference. He's been brilliant for Palace.
But Glasner's been brilliant for Palace.
He has, and they've been brilliant amongst
Glasner's
themselves.
a star act, Simon.
He is, but I also would imagine, with reliable understanding, that on a day-to-day basis, he is a hard work to deal with, and that doesn't.
Good.
And that's fine if you're winning, and currently he is winning. But there will come a point where the tipping points are here. So I think we celebrate in the same way that I don't suppose Bournemouth fans are going to have the same recriminations as Palace fans might have. Iriola's gone in there, put them in Europe as well. Yeah. Haven't won anything, but done wonderful things there.
Yeah, but haven't won anything.
He's departed. Well, some would say they've won the right to play in arguably the most difficult tournaments in Europe from a club that's got 10,000 fans turning up every single week to watch.
If you were Parish, would you not be trying everything you could to keep Glasner? And say to Oliver Glasner, who I've met and I really, really, really recognise what he's got, Simon. Yeah. I was so impressed with the guy on the night at the event we did up at Scots and Mayfair. Yeah. I think Oliver Glasner, if you speak to him in such a way that, look, we have to keep everything certainly on an even keel, but you are a winner and we don't want you going anywhere.
But do you think that Parish wouldn't have said this? I mean, people have got an outside perception of what football managers are like because the image that they show to you, he showed you what he's like. He showed you what he's like in that moment where he had a temperamental outburst. He had agreed that he was going to leave. I think most people, I said at the beginning of the season, Glasner will not be here at the end of the season. He will not be given the kind of support that he thinks he's entitled to. And there's an argument that he's entitled to if you want a successful football club or even more successful. So he's going to leave. He agrees to leave. And then 3 months later, he has a meltdown in front of the media. Now, a lot of people will now say, well, actually, it was justified and it's putting the board under pressure. But these are people that have no knowledge of how to run a football club. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. The fact is that Palace have never had it so good. And everything comes to an end. It came to an end back in the late 70s, early 80s when Terry Venables was the golden property.
So this is
and off he went to QPR.
This is as good, Simon, as it's going to get, is it? It all stops here after Oliver leaves.
Well, no, not necessarily.
That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
they've never had it so good yet. I agree with you.
I'm saying that you've got to appreciate what you've got, not necessarily cry what you haven't got, or start crying about the opportunities. Life goes on, it evolves. So if Glasner was still under contract at Palace, there were, and if we hadn't had this outburst, dollars for donuts, there might have been a bigger football club that come along and taken him, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be saying, oh, Glasner's left Palace and he's gone to a bigger football club, and that's just dreadful. Well, in this instance, it leaves it open door because it looks like there could have been a resolution. There was no way there could have been. You cannot run a football club like Crystal Palace by giving a manager exactly what he wants, because quite frankly, if it doesn't go the way that he wants it to go, you'll be left with a car crash and he'll be off somewhere else plying his trade with no consequence.
I agree, but that manager is delivering trophy after trophy.
Fantastic.
Some things, well, you've never had that.
Fantastic.
They've never had that
but they've never had Premiership football for 13 years. They've never had financial stability in the terms of how much money the club is able to generate under any ownership. Mine, Mark's, Ron Rhodes, Ray Bloys, whoever else owned it, Arthur Waite, God knows whoever else owned it.
Simon, with the best one in the world, this was a treading water football club. Glasner's come in.
True.
Yes, it was.
No, it's not true.
Yes, it was.
That's not true. You cannot say that a football club in the Premier League is treading water, because to be in the Premier League in its own right is a bloody amazing feat.
It was all about survival.
To stay there in the Premier League is an amazing feat.
And what difference has Glasner made?
He's taken them to an FA Cup competitions. He's done well in the league. There were people.
Taking you to another level.
I mean, Pardew took them to an FA Cup final, and they nearly won that.
Yeah, nearly
won that.
Yeah,
and they were fortunate on that day to find themselves against a lacklustre Manchester City. But notwithstanding that, they won the FA Cup. They've won the European Conference League, which, by the way, is a crap league full of predominantly crap teams. The opportunity is now in the Europa League.
Listen, I am not decrying in any way what Palace have done. I'm trying to highlight the fact that you've gone from a treading water club to a trophy-winning club. And the common denominator on that achievement is Oliver Glasner.
By what metric is Chris? I mean, by the metric of Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Aston Villa, much bigger football clubs, much
the
more.
The Palace fans themselves were unveiling banners.
And so, well, they can do as they please.
Saying we ain't going anywhere fast.
Because that's the nature of the ambition, right? And football clubs are propelled by emotion. But when it comes down to it, when you distill it down, you take the emotion out, you've got to look at it and go, right, this football club needs to be run properly. It needs to be run effectively. Yes, I think there should be more ambition. Yes, I think Blitzer and Harris should pony up some more capital for them to be able to have a bigger go. Because Parish ain't got any money. His money's in Palace. So with that, what do you want then? Do you want to put it all at risk? Is this how it works in the sort of idealistic world? Put it all at risk for a manager that's done a good job that probably will be out the door when a bigger and better opportunity comes along. And there are bigger and better opportunities.
Would you call it a good job or an unbelievable job? I would go with the latter.
I would say it's a very good job.
Certainly, post-match last night, a match that Crystal Palace won by single goal to nil. They beat Rayo Vallecano and they won the Conference League final. And Oliver Glasner was asked, could you stay?
No. I remember you asked me once, it was at the academy, that when the fans prepared a banner, when we were struggling a little bit, and it's the same. It's I see myself as a servant for the players, as a servant for the club, and then somebody who gives the direction. Have to say thank you to the players. I have to say thank you to the supporters, because it's the same. It's also another incredible day for me and for my family, sharing these moments with my family here at Leipzig again. It's just a fantastic day. So I have to say thank you to the players, because they have to do all the job.
I was saying to you how impressed I was when I met him, and you were saying to me?
I think he's a very capable manager, but I was laughing at the idea that he didn't feel like a servant for the club when he was crying about what he didn't get. He's done remarkably well. He was given an opportunity to come into the Premier League, and Palace gave him the gateway. His reputation has been built on the back of this achievement alongside Eintracht Frankfurt. There is no doubt in my mind, despite the fact people will have their own view on this, that he's a difficult bugger to contend with. People will say, so what? Those are people that don't have to deal with difficult buggers on a day-to-day basis. Those are the people that don't have to endure. As long as he's winning, okay, well, you have some with it then, and then you can speak about it.
Just to be clear, he's the greatest manager Crystal Palace have ever had, isn't he?
In achievement terms, yeah. I think
well,
so.
What other terms do you gauge it by?
Because you have to look at a whole raft of things. Once upon a time, Crystal Palace was playing in 3rd Division South, and you could suggest that certain people that were part of the construct then did wonderful things for the club. You could say the team of the 80s that Malcolm Allison produced changed the name from the Glazers to the Eagles and did a whole raft of things. It was a great part of Palace's history.
Agreed.
But on the achievement, without nuance, without caveats,
what it's all about.
Well, it isn't actually. It isn't.
Well, football's all about ambition, isn't it?
No.
It's not about ambition.
It's about passion. It's about a variety of things. But now, what it's about, Jim, it's about money and economics, and that's what it's about. And whether you like it or not, the average guy in the street will complain about how much ticket prices cost. So it becomes about money. Complain about the fact that the managers haven't been given more money. So it's about money. Managers will complain about they haven't been bought more players. So it's about money. It should be about passion. It should be about the sport, but it's turned into something else.
It's about winning, isn't it?
The most important.
It's about winning.
Well, there's only so many people can win. So okay, let me get this right then. There's 92 clubs in the pyramid. Only 4 of them can win their leagues. There's only 2 cups to play for. So the other 87 clubs that can't win anything. They're not about anything, are they?
And that's why Glasner and Palace have been exceptional together.
Indeed, they have.
Because when push came to shove, he wins with them.
But that's like saying, I imagine once upon a time people considered Rachel Hunter and Rod Stewart to be a wonderful couple. But why do they get divorced? Because people get separated, right?
Where did that come
and
from?
in this instance, I was thinking of Rod because no doubt he'll phone up about Scotland somewhere along the line. But in this instance, I have been a major advocate for the talents of Oliver Glasner. But there is an alternate side to the equation. There is an alternate set of thinking that nobody wants to hear, because when you're able to have the luxury of only thinking about what you want, then you go, well, I don't care. He's a manager, he should be given what he wants. But then take you out of that world and put you into Steve Parish's world and go, right, now you've got to put the club in hock, you've got to take all the risks, and when it goes tits up, you're going to be the one that's blamed for it, because the manager can disappear to go and manage Chelsea or Arsenal or Liverpool.
When you owners interview prospective managers, you say to them the question that some say, do you think you can win for this club? Do you think you can win us something? And that manager, that candidate will say, yeah, I can. You give me the opportunity and I'll win for this club. Done. That's what Glasner's done. That's what he's done for you.
I'd imagine if you were interviewing the Grimsby manager, you didn't ask him if he was going to win a European Cup. Right? So it's all about relativity, right? But I would also imagine when you're interviewing a manager, you go to him, right, you do realise, right?
Yeah.
So, Oliver, here's the opportunity for you. You do realise that we're not a cash-rich club, right? And you do realise that we're not going to spend 150 million quid a season on players, right? So what's he crying about then?
Yeah.
So what's he crying about then? So he comes into a job knowing what the barrier, the constraints are, and when it goes his way, up comes the hubris, up comes the expectation and entitlement, and out comes the outburst.
I'll put it out there. Palace fans, what do you honestly think about what Glasner has done at your football club? Because you've won now under him, not 1, not 2, but 3 trophies. The last being last night in Leipzig. Give us a call, 03717 223344. And regards last night, will this kickstart a new norm or the inevitable regression? Because maybe West Ham should be a cautionary tale on this one. 03717 223344 is Thursday morning. You know, you were touching my hand there. And we're live on talkSPORT. They came mightily close, Emmanuel, to being relegated. And as I mentioned there, 2 consecutive 17th place finishes. And he's saying, 10 to 12 of these guys can stay on. You know, we've got, in other words, we have quite a number of them that can crack on next season. Does he have those players? Does he have as many as that who could do them a job next season? I mean, how many of this group go forward long term, do you think, with De Zerbi?
Well, if you point the finger at the players, I think everyone will say this exactly the same. they don't deserve to play at Tottenham. But if you look at the whole situation, take an X-ray, for the last 2-3 seasons, you realize that there is no serenity and on the bench. They have changed so many managers. And since Levy left the club last season, I think many people in the board have made so much mistakes, And I think the chief executive, I can't remember his name, but I think he has to take responsibility as well. So, of course, the players have a huge responsibility because when you look at the squad, when you look at the money they have, everything, the new stadium, the fan base, I think this club should have played, for European places. But if you look at the whole situation, I think, for me, I don't understand what's going on at Spurs, in terms of sport vision. I don't see it, because when things doesn't go the way they want, they fire the manager. When they don't want this player, they take another one. That reminds me so many clubs, the policy of so many clubs, and they are wrong. You have to stick with your vision. But what is the vision actually at Tottenham? There is no vision at all because the manager changed every single 3-4 months. So you have to come back on what it means, to get a team, which means for me, they have to change the mentality inside the club because I don't see the same Spurs team, the same club I used to see for years and years,
Yeah.
The mentality for me is the worst.
And if they don't change this vision, they're looking at a third. Wow. So many messages coming in from Palace fans. 81089. Good morning to you all. There is one, no name in it, unfortunately. Palace continue to sell all their best players. What Glasner has achieved is unbelievable. I can't see the next manager getting anywhere near what he has achieved. That is just one of many, Simon, along those lines. There's another one. Much as I admire Glasner, we need to remember he walked into a club and was presented with Olise, Gehi, Munoz, Henderson, Sarr, Warren, etc., etc.
And who was the intellectual capital behind that? Dougie Friedman. Yeah, you're right. Palace fans, you've won another trophy. This time it's a European one. I mean, what is going on? Because no sooner had you won it than your manager, Oliver Glasner, confirmed, that's it from me, goodbye. So you won't see him again. What's going to happen in the near future? Will this kickstart a new norm or will it kickstart the inevitable regression? Is this going to be as good as it gets? 03717 223344. Jeffrey, big Palace fan. Good morning. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm really glad. I've supported Palace for like 61 years. I never thought we'd win anything. And I agree with Simon. I like Simon. I bought his book and everything when he wrote it. And I agree with what he says. He's basically right. That Glasner threw his toys out the pram. I've just got a bad taste in my mouth for what he done at Christmas when he threw his toys out the pram and just said, oh, I'm leaving at the end of the year. That was the easiest thing. He could have left it until the end of the season if he wanted to go and then just said a couple of times like Pep did and just said, oh, I'm going to leave at the end of the season. You know, if that's what he wanted to do, I think he's got ideas above his station, to be honest with you. There's other people like Thomas Frank who went to Spurs and that didn't come off. So you want to wish for other things instead of what he's doing now.
But surely, I mean, I know what you're saying, Jeffrey, but surely you want this to be the start of something. You want this kind of thing to continue at Palace.
There's plenty of managers out there that I would say that are just on a par with him.
What do you want to say? Jeffrey, here's Simon. Here's Simon.
I think Jeffrey and I probably have the same mindset. I think he's done a very good job. He was given a lot of tools to work with. He knew the conditions he was working in, and the reasons why he had an outburst is because he wanted reputational enhancement. He didn't want any diminishing of the opportunities that he was believing he was going to get after the success at Palace. So he tried to manage the situation saying, this current decline in the Palace side, these conditions I'm working under, are kind of not reflective of me as a manager. So the motivation for his outburst was poor, but it doesn't alter the fact that in the 2.5 years that he was there, he presided over a better version of the Palace side that Roy Hodgson was managing. He brought success in FA Cup. And by the way, I grew up at a time, and Jeffrey would have been there as well, when Palace were the team of the 80s. Venables came in after Allison, and there was an expectation when you had 50,000 fans in the stadium, and the Homesdale end filled up because it was all standing at that time, that Palace could be a big force in football. So I'm not in the camp that thinking that Palace could never have won something, but where we are in today's modern day football, with the kind of ownership money sloshing around from nation states, to have won the FA Cup, to have won what I consider to be the lowest rung of European football, it's still a brilliant achievement.
Right. Yeah, before you leave us, Jeffrey, Simon's beside me. Do you want to speak to him directly? Anything you want to leave us with?
Just to say that carry on doing the show. Like, as I say, I listen to it every day, and I think you do a really good job. And he speaks the truth in what's going on in football, not glassing over like all these other people do, going, about other clubs and, like that. He tells it as it is, and I really appreciate you've got someone on there like that.
Jeffrey, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Darren's another Palace fan. Darren, I'll throw this at you before you join us. David is an individual who's listening this morning. He sent a message, and I just want you to hear this. All serial winners are hard to deal with.
Yep.
Winners want more. Simple as. What do you make of that, Darren?
Good morning, everyone at talkSPORT. Good morning, Mr. Simon Jordan. It's a pleasure to speak to all of you. Yes, Simon, I just want to know why you sound so angry this morning, sir.
I don't sound that. I'm being asked questions about the ownership of Palace, and if you can imagine my position, the last person in the world I want to defend is Steve Parish. And so I'm in a position where I'm defending the club against the media observation that they should do everything they possibly can to keep Glasner in a situation. It's a one-way transaction. He must be kept there. So I'm putting some vitality behind the argument of defending Parish, Blitzer and Harris and not doing everything they possibly can to keep Glasner. So that's, if you take that as anger, you're misreading it.
Are you sorry, Darren, to see Glasner go now after what he's done?
Most definitely. Most definitely. But, Simon, if you could just put your own personal, identification towards Crystal Palace and just look at it as a supporter, because it's not only it's not even been 24 hours, Simon. And if you could just put your own personal, attachment to the club and try to be as ecstatic as all the rest of us Palace fans around the world, sir. Can you just do that?
Well, you have the luxury.
I know it's very hard. I know it's very difficult.
No, you don't know what I do and don't think. I have the luxury.
Clearly, Simon.
I have the luxury of knowing what you don't know, which is how difficult it is to run a football club and how much of your enthusiasm evaporates by doing so.
But you all just look at you claim to be a fan of Crystal Palace, don't you?
I don't make any claims to be anything. What I was. This is a slightly reductive conversation. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm very pleased for the football club, and I'm very pleased for the fans, and I'm delighted that they've won a competition that they've been in. And I've said that all the way through. So I don't know what you're trying to elicit from this conversation.
Simon, with all due respect, that's why I'm phoning, because you don't sound like you are pleased for us.
Well, why don't you worry about being pleased for yourself?
But I'm pleased for all the Palace fans around the world, Simon.
Fantastic.
And something you don't sound like you are. You just sound really bitter and twisted.
No,
Simon.
I don't sound that. I don't sound that at all. That's a characterisation that you're trying to put on the conversation.
It's the truth.
No, it can't be the truth, because the only person. I tell you what, I don't need this bloody conversation, Jim.
It's the truth.
Darren, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Martin, take us to 10:30. What was your take on last night, and where did Palace go from here?
It was great performance. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. But this is history repeating itself. Every 2 or 3 years, we have to get another manager. Every time, as soon as they achieve something, they go in and see the chairman. We need this to take us to the next level. We need to spend some money. They don't want to do it. They're not going to stay around. These are professional managers. If you want to do it properly, you've got to invest. Palace have never done that. They get to a certain point, press the reset button, start from. We've done it with Pulis, done it with Allardyce, done it all the managers since the last 10, 15 years. It's a joke.
Martin, thanks for the call.
Yeah, I think that's unfair.
I can see partly. I can see where he's coming from.
I understand that entirely. I'm not going to listen to the garbage from the previous caller, but I understand entirely the joy that Palace fans have and the natural exuberance of wanting to go and progress.
Yeah.
But there is a commercial reality that no one cares about, and I know that they have the luxury of not having to do that. And there was always a position. Can Palace? It was something that dawned upon me. Can Palace ever eclipse Arsenal and Liverpool and Man United? I know that you say, well, could Man City ever do it? But you can't now do what was done at Man City. So in Palace's world, there was this almost tacit acceptance that Eberechi Eze is going to leave to go to Arsenal. Elise is going to leave to go to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And Palace are always going to be a club. And the wonderful thing that Palace have been able to achieve is that they no longer have the mickey taken out of them on players being sold at prices that reflect not their value, but reflect the fact that a bigger football club can come along and take them. When Arsenal bought Eze, they had to pay the right amount of money. And I think that's a wonderful achievement on Palace's side of things. But this idea that owners just sit there going no because they've got nothing better to do with their time, when a manager walks in and says, I want to spend 200 million quid, there's a huge amount of risk attached to that, or 100 million quid, and it has to be considered in the rounds.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT. A lot to get through. Remember, the kickboxer who had a real kick and go, Alexander Usyk, Rico Verhoeven, will join us live shortly. Now, Simon, you're going to enjoy this. Producer Luke from the other side of the glass, come on through. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon and I often talk about producer Luke. Here is the show coming around here.
Can you just say your name, what you do in your life, and everything?
Tell us about the bet.
Listen, I am. You did say if we win it, I've got to come in and apologise. So I'm doing that. I'm holding my word. So. Manu, I'm sorry. Come on, the Arsenal. There you go.
Don't be sorry to me. Be sorry to the Arsenal fans everywhere in the world.
Me and every other Arsenal fan. We're all losing faith. You too as well.
Good man.
Well done. He's a man of his word, which counts for a lot these days.
I tried to forget this morning anyway. So,
first and foremost, on a serious note, Simon and I spoke about it last week. Obviously. What does it mean to you? I mean, how did you react in Paris?
I watched the game, every single game the last couple of weeks, and I watched the game City against Everton, and I thought after the halftime, I thought they're running the game, they're leading the score, it's over, it's gonna be until the end, and then Everton did a great second half, and they deserve to at least get a point. I thought they should have won that game, but anyway. After that game, Arsenal were champion. So I received so many text messages, that night, from people here in England, around the world.
Tell us, give us some names. Who texted you? If you can.
Were right. You're 20 years waiting, it's such a long time. We deserve it. It's such a great day for Arsenal, for the club, for everyone's. But I was thinking, but how many were positive, for the last couple of months? I've heard so many critics even from the fans, from pundits, from the players, and I was thinking, hell, what's going on? Is it something against Arsenal? But
especially your mate Vieira, he's been quite negative. Even when you won it yesterday, he couldn't quite bring himself to give it all of it. Yes, of course, if they win the Champions League, they will be remembered as
With Oliver Glasner definitely off despite delivering Palace a fairy tale Conference League trophy, their former manager Alan Pardew says Andoni Iraola could take over.
I don't think there's a suitable sort of role elsewhere for him. So I think they've got a great chance of bringing him over the line.
Well, Glasner says Palace got what they deserved, finally securing that Europa League place. And having been left out by Thomas Tuchel, Adam Wharton was man of the match in Leipzig, despite being in injury doubt.
Stabbed my foot in an icebox. Yeah, it wasn't very comfortable, but I'm not going to miss a final.
Now, with Anthony Gordon on his way to Barcelona for a medical, what does it all mean for Marcus Rashford? Our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, says Barca could sign them both.
One of the attractions with Anthony Gordon, as far as Hansi Flick, the manager, is concerned, is that not only can he play on that left wing that Rashford has occupied for quite a bit of the season, but he can play up front as well. And, of course, they're losing Robert Lewandowski.
FIFA is being investigated over allegations of artificially inflating World Cup ticket prices and misleading fans. Legal officers in the US say the World Cup is not an invitation to exploit people. And England could play a warm-up game in front of 50,000 empty seats next week. They face New Zealand in Tampa's 69,000-seater Raymond James Stadium. The cheapest tickets for that are 54 quid.
Flying along this Thursday morning, it's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. Thursday being Thursday, we shall talk boxing further down the line. But very fortunately this morning we're going to Rico Verhoeven, the man who almost shook things up big time in Giza in Egypt at the weekend against Alexander Usyk. Rico's going to join us live, Simon. We were impressed with him first time around. I'm looking forward to speaking to him.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. After having him in the studio, I wanted to watch the fight, and B, despite the fact I think Alexander Usyk wasn't compelling, I wasn't surprised that he was better than people gave him credit for after having met the man.
Yes, indeed.
Interesting to see what he has to say.
Anthony Gordon has been hitting the headlines of late. All the talk was Anthony Gordon, England forward, of course, is going to go from Newcastle United to Bayern Munich. Maybe not. It's now looking like Anthony Gordon, Newcastle United to Barcelona. talkSPORT chief football correspondent Alex Crook joins us live. What's going on, Alex? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I've got to say, this is a story that developed at breakneck speed yesterday from reporting early yesterday morning that Barcelona was showing serious interest in Anthony Gordon. We got the nod last night, first to reveal on talkSPORT that actually a fee had been agreed, £70 million, plus some performance-related add-ons. And Anthony Gordon is due in Barcelona today to undergo a medical. He's been offered a 5-year contract and he could be unveiled as a Barcelona player as soon as this weekend. So a really whirlwind move for him. Not one, I have to say, that too many Newcastle fans are too sad to stand on the way off. I think they see £70 million, a decent profit for a player who tended to save his best performances for the Champions League last season. But what an opportunity for Anthony Gordon to join a club of the size and stature of Barcelona. The big question now is, do they press ahead with plans to sign Marcus Rashford? Because, of course, they both naturally play on the left-hand side. I know that they see Gordon as someone who can also fill the Robert Lewandowski role at the top end of the pitch. But you wonder how Manchester United might be feeling this morning about the prospect of Marcus Rashford returning to Carrington this summer.
Well, I would think, Alex, would you not, Simon, that that's the end of Rashford at Barcelona?
Seems like it. I mean, it's an interesting one to suggest that Anthony Gordon would fulfil the role of Lewandowski, but that's perhaps what they see him as. I mean, but Newcastle getting £70 million, best part of, first of all, having Barcelona at the table can either increase the opportunity from Bayern Munich. We're talking about two elite clubs in Europe bidding for a player that I think is okay. He's a good player, but we're talking about £70 million and two of the biggest names in domestic football wanting to sign for them. So I think it's sad for Newcastle that they have to lose players, but in return for that, they're getting a big fee and he's getting a wonderful opportunity. But I don't personally see him at that level. But then what do I know? I'm not a football person.
Yeah,
you know? I'm a bitter old failed chairman.
Alex, do you, Simon, think ahead that it's going to be something of a challenging summer for Newcastle United?
Yes, although I think this will help. You know, when you've got 70 million quid in the bank, it reduces the pressure financially anyway to to sell the rest of the family silver. I think it's pretty clear that Sandro Tonali is pushing for a move. His agent has been working overtime, linking him with Chelsea a couple of days ago. That's been played down by my sources at Stamford Bridge. They tell me they're not in the running for either Tonali or Bruno Guimaraes, who was also linked with a move to West London. I think Tino Livramento is an interesting one because he isn't showing any signs of being willing to commit to a new contract, even though he's got a checkered injury record. I think Manchester City remain keen on him. And I did the story last week about Lewis Hall potentially a target for Manchester United. So in answer to your question, yes. But I think it's interesting how quickly this Gordon transfer has been done. You know, we're not even in June yet. And I think Newcastle have learnt lessons from what happened last summer with Alexander Isak, and they don't want similar sagas this time around.
Nice bit of business for Newcastle, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're trying to build something successful, then you need to keep your best players, not sell them. That will all fall hand in hand with how ambitious the Saudis are, what they're actually going to do, because the expectation was Newcastle were going to be a highly competitive force. And we've enjoyed watching them at certain times, but this season has been a little bit of a flatline for them. Not only have they lost Isak, now they're losing Gordon. They probably will lose Tonali and a few other players. So it's difficult to see how Newcastle build this 2030 vision that we're being told, that they're going to be dominant in domestic football, when you're constantly selling players that might help you get there.
Yeah. The man of the moment, Oliver Glasner. Palace won it last night, Alex, and now Glasner has confirmed, no, I won't be staying. That's not on. Where's he going?
Well, there's links in Germany this morning with Bayer Leverkusen, who we know are also interested in Andoni Iraola. That would seem to make a lot of sense for Glasner. Obviously knows the league well, but I'm trying to stand up those rumours this morning. It seems that both him and Andoni Iraola have fallen on their sword without having a definitive club lined up. There's still a lot of talk about Iraola swapping Bournemouth to Crystal Palace, but I'm not sure Palace are that confident of getting that deal done. He's been linked with AC Milan in recent days as well. So I'm really intrigued to see where these two end up on the back of brilliant seasons now. Glasner delivering European silverware and Iraola bringing European football to the Vitality for the first time. Just on the subject of Bournemouth, incidentally, it's my understanding that Ryan, the young Brazilian who came in the summer, has really hit the ground running in the Premier League. He's got a place in Brazil's World Cup squad. We know about this €100 million release clause. We reported it at the time. I'm told that doesn't kick in until next summer. So I think that's good news for Bournemouth fans. They're keen to keep hold of him. They're keen to keep hold of Junior Krupi, another teenager who's attracting interest, not just from top clubs in the Premier League, but across Europe. And they've offered Alex Scott a new contract. Alex Scott, I think, really unlucky not to make it in England's 26-man World Cup squad. So they're keen to avoid Bournemouth, a repeat of what happened last summer when, of course, there was a mass exodus of their top players from the Vitality.
And what about Marco Silva? Is he on his way out of Fulham?
Well, he's in Lisbon. We've got pictures of him touching down at the airport. He was scheduled, I think, to speak at a conference over there, but he's pulled out of that. We were reporting last night that he's verbally agreed a contract length with Benfica. It doesn't mean he's definitely going to go, but you've got to say Fulham maybe should be worried about that. Of course, his contract has come to an end. He's had a very lucrative contract, I'm told, worth £8 million a year on the table from Fulham for several weeks, if not months now, that has gone unsigned. He won't earn quite as much as that at Benfica, but they are one of Portugal's top clubs. They are in Europe next season, albeit in the Europa League. So he's got a big decision to make. I would expect some clarity on this by the weekend. Fulham, I think, keen to move on, and they need to know what Marco Silva's plans are.
You've had a bit of change of heart about Marco Silva, have you not, in recent times?
Yeah, new information tells that. He stayed at Fulham for a long period of time. His performances at Everton post his departure from Watford were worthy of criticism. What he's done since is not. Now, whether he's reached the end of the road with Fulham because he's another manager that probably hasn't been given all the support that he thinks he should be given, the hundreds of millions of pounds that people just talk about as if it's confetti, has to be spent by somebody somewhere, and has to be managed in some certain way. So he has reached a point. I would imagine Alex's information is pretty good, that he isn't going to stay at Fulham.
Yeah.
Because if he was going to stay at Fulham, he probably would have signed a contract.
Yeah.
And the fact he's got, if we're led to believe what Alex is saying is right, he's got a verbal agreement with Benfica. What's he having a verbal agreement with Benfica if he's staying at Fulham for? So I would assume he's going to Benfica.
Yeah.
And European football plays a part of that, because whilst it might not be the economics, all of these managers, none of them are going to the breadline. They all can all stand back from it and go, right, my currency is high. So I don't have to worry about jumping from one job. These are not people that are living in the world that lots of people live in, which is, I need to go to the next paycheck. They're very well financially healed, and they can take the view that I don't need to line up another job whilst I'm leaving this one. I know that my currency's high, and I know that an opportunity is going to present itself in a big environment, which might suit me better.
Yeah. Just in a sentence or two, Alex, Enzo Fernandez, is he the start of a few heading out of Chelsea?
He's definitely going to be one to watch this summer, Jim. Obviously, no Champions League football, no European football at all for Chelsea. He was dropped from the team. He was stripped of the captaincy under Liam Rossini for hankering for a move to Madrid. I think there is serious interest now from Real Madrid. Certainly, Florentino Perez seems a massive fan. Chelsea ideally want to keep him. But I think Fernandez wants the right to look at his options and see if he can get a top move in Europe. If he does, the asking price, I'm told, will be £120 million.
Okay. Nice if you can get it. Alex, thank you very much indeed. Thursday morning, coming up to 11:15, and we're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Piers Morgan has pushed back at fans who claimed that he shouldn't have been on the pitch at Palace on Sunday celebrating the title win with the players. Morgan and his sons Bertie, Stanley and Spencer were all on the pitch alongside fellow celebrity Gunners, actor Jake Wood and comedian Jack Whitehall. But critics highlighted hypocrisy from the likes of Morgan, who had previously gone for Mikel Arteta, calling for him to be sacked in 2022, to now share photos with the manager and the players on the pitch. Morgan, for his part, pointed out that he paid 4 750 quid hospitality tickets for his family to be at Selhurst Park before he was invited on the pitch to be a big part of the whole thing. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see exactly what I mean. Is there anything wrong, Simon? Anything wrong, Danny, with celebrity fans getting celebrity privileges?
I have mixed emotions about it. I mean, you could make the same argument for Noel sitting up on a stage holding one of the trophies that was celebrating Pep Guardiola's 20 trophies.
But that was a special event,
and so
he played a part in it. He was doing some interviews,
and so to some extent, it was a special event on Sunday. I'm not a great fan of it. And I was a miserable old sod when I was there. I wouldn't, when Ronnie Corbett once asked me for some tickets, I said, "Have you got a season ticket?" We were playing Liverpool in the cup semi-final, your lot. And he said, "Can I have a ticket?" I said, "Have you bought a season ticket?" Rather than just be generous to spirit and go, well, celebrity fans are part of it. They raised the profile to some extent because we had Bill Nighy, we had Joe Brand, we had Bill Wyman, who the players never even heard of. Clinton Morrison didn't even know who the Rolling Stones were. I don't know. There's a part of me that goes, no. And there's another part of me that thinks, oh, so what? In the great scheme of things, do we really care that much? I mean, are they taking... Did Piers Morgan take anything away from anybody else? He paid 750 quid a ticket to go there.
kind of get used to the idea that Tottenham are staying in the Premier League. I'm going to get to that in a second. Let me just tell you before that, talkSPORT announces today it will broadcast live coverage of 6 highly anticipated MotoGP races throughout the summer. Starting with the Italian MotoGP this Sunday, live on talkSPORT 2. Commentary brought to you by TNT Sports, packed full of MotoGP experts and world champions. Join us Sunday for the first of 6 races starting 1:50. talkSPORT 2 will bring you all the MotoGP action. And so to Tottenham. So they survived. And it's Premier League football for them next season. And of course, yesterday we were reflecting on some of the things, the statement that was coming out from those at the very top, the Lewis family. Our approach to running the club is and has been to trust the experts to do that while backing them to be successful. The problems we found were deeper than we realised and were allowed to build over the last few years. And now the chief executive, Vinay Venkatesham, has seemingly continued to dismiss, if you like, the Daniel Levy tenure. Vinay has said, our training centre is amazing, one of the best, if not the best in the world. But when you look around, it looks more like a 5-star hotel than it does a performance environment. That will change over the summer. I think there are many areas where the club hasn't got the right level of expertise. If you look at the football side of the club, over a time frame of 5 years or so, there has just been an explosion in progress across the Premier League. He says, I'm not saying that Tottenham didn't improve in that period. What I can tell you is that when you look at where Tottenham were in so many of those areas compared to where I believe other Premier League clubs are, there was a significant gap. In some areas, really quite worryingly so. Now, it's funny that, because last year, on his appointment to the role, Vinay Venkatesham was adopting a very different tone when he sat alongside Daniel Levy in a club interview.
I don't know how you do it. I remember, I think when you got to 20 years, you might not remember this. I remember I sent you a nice bottle of wine with a letter saying, I don't know how you've done it for so long, because it just takes everything from you. It just, the energy you need to put into it. So your stamina is quite something.
Do you know, I've got very broad shoulders. Failure's not an option. The desire to succeed. And because it's so difficult, I want to succeed even more.
My perspective of you is I think you have got a very thick skin and you've got very broad shoulders, but I also see how much it affects you because I can see how much you want to win, right? So I think sometimes there's a perspective that because you have got a thick skin that it doesn't affect you, but I see it does. And I could see it in you before the Bilbao final because I could see just how much you wanted it.
The pressure and the disappointment of not winning over a number of years, I just wanted it so desperately.
So Vinay was looking at Daniel in the eye, Simon, and said, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And then yesterday he was saying, I don't think that there was what I would call a relentless obsession with football success. Funny that, isn't it?
Well, I mean, despite the fact it's an appalling, example of sycophancy from him, it's not actually saying what he's now saying because he may well now be looking at Tottenham, evaluating things differently, and he has new information. So I have to give the man some degree of latitude. Do I think that's the kind of leader you really need inside businesses, inside football clubs? No, because they run with the hare, they hunt with the hounds. They are clearly being fed by a new master. And so that new master has a different set of dynamics about them. So they're now ingratiating themselves to the new ownership, making sure that the previous incumbent person that was there under the direction of the ownership, under the direction of the primary shareholders, running the business, maybe with a degree of significant autonomy, but notwithstanding that, still accountable to the other shareholders, is no longer his master. So he's now being served by someone else. Now, that might be the reality of people's worlds. To me, that's not leadership. I don't think he's a leader. I think he wasn't brought in to be a leader. I thought he was brought in to be the number 2 to Daniel Levy in the commercial function. From what I can understand now, he's now a little bit more than just a commercial man. He's the football man. And I think probably what he knows about football and buying players, you can write on the back of a postage stamp. And that might explain some of the reasons why the footballing decisions are going so poorly at Spurs. But notwithstanding that, if he is right, put aside the arguments that there's an unfairness, certainly for people that quite admire Daniel Levy. And I don't admire everything Daniel does. There were times when I was involved in football when he and I had real altercations about Andrew Johnson, about Wayne Routledge, about John Bostock. I didn't agree with lots of things that Daniel did and didn't admire lots of the things that he, sort of tried to foist upon me. But I did respect him. Now, in this instance, with this guy, if he's right in what he's saying, it doesn't matter whether Daniel Levy got that right or wrong. It needs to be addressed because, first and foremost, the argument is if you haven't got a wonderful training ground, you need to build a wonderful training ground. Now we're suggesting that the wonderful training ground is the reasons why the culture inside the football club isn't right, and these things need to be fixed. This is low-hanging fruit. It's easy for them to do.
Yeah.
We've seen what you've done this season. You can blame Daniel Levy as much as you want, but we've seen what you've done this season. We've seen what you've achieved this season. So you need to get your house in order. And what you need to do is start producing a winning football team and a team that's actually reflective of its fan base and the size of this football club. And blaming a predecessor is like a manager coming in saying, oh, the players ain't fit. Well, we all know that's the old age-old attribute of dumping it on the previous manager. They weren't fit enough.
The thing is, Simon, if Levy was so bad, how was he allowed to stay in the post for so long?
But he wasn't bad, was he? I mean, there's a section of fans.
I mean, they're all, well, you listen to the Lewis family, they're queuing up to have a kick at him.
Well, are
So is
they?
Vinay.
Are they? Or is that the way that we're choosing to characterise certain aspects of it? Because it is, how much of it, if any of what they're saying is not true, if it really isn't true what they're saying and it's a load of old crap, then we should be really sticking up.
Well, the Lewis family are saying the problems we found were deeper than we realised and were allowed to build over the last few years.
Well, again,
That's hardly an endorsement
But
of
let's
Daniel.
be specific about that then. Let's be specific because no one's having the audacity to ask the question. Say, right, well, hang on, you lot, aren't you the primary shareholders? Weren't you the guys that didn't want to put any additional money in? Weren't you the ones that are allowing Daniel, if this is your argument, to have autonomy? So you can't just skate away from this, can you? Surely you're not suggesting that you weren't part of this, are you? What you're saying is, we are now going to pivot off this. We're going to be a free spending football club. We're going to buy the best players. We're going to increase our wage structure to meet those of the other football clubs. These are all the things that we're going to do. We're going to renegotiate the debt around the stadium so that we don't have to meet the obligations to the bank. We're going to do all of this. We're going to bring the best in class of sporting directors because Vinay, you're not the best in class of sporting director, are you? You're a commercial man that was taken in from Arsenal to run it underneath Daniel, aren't you? These are the conversations that you need to have with these guys. They're not going to allow you to have these conversations because it's one-way communication. So right now, the best way to deflect from your shortcomings is to reflect on someone else's.
Do you think do you gauge at this time that going into next season, the future looks good for Tottenham Hotspur under this ownership?
No, it looks better than it did this year because this year was a car crash. It was a disaster. They were a game away from being relegated. So do I think it'll be better?
Under this version of the ownership?
Because they've had the crap scared out of them. And I mean this metaphorically and literally because they're in a situation where they could have had this idea they're not for sale. Rubbish. They will be selling this football club at some point. But the value in the football club is nowhere near any kind of significance in all levels, including the amount of money they have to pony up and stick in the club if they're in the Championship. So the idea that you can just say, and of course all those people that don't like Daniel will jump on it, but the Lewis family, if this was crap and it was badly run, then it was badly run by all of them, not just Daniel.
But what they're saying is Daniel allowed things to slide.
But then aren't they absentee landlords? If they are the primary shareholder and they were the primary funders and it was their football
But many
club,
owners are, Simon. You
Are they?
weren't, but many are.
Well,
Look at the Glazers.
So Sheikh Mansour is an absentee landlord. But notwithstanding, his
He doesn't run it.
football club runs well because I suspect he makes it get run well because he involves himself in what's happening with his money. And to some extent, you can talk about other people. I don't suppose John Henry's there on a day-to-day basis.
They say they trusted Daniel to run things.
But that's what we're interpreting.
That's what they said.
But that's what
we left it to you. It's now a mess. We've got to come in and clear it up.
That's not quite what they're saying. They're saying is that in order to meet the challenges of the Premier League, there are other clubs. We've heard this before. We heard it from Cristiano Ronaldo talking about how other clubs have evolved and Man United hadn't. They're now suggesting that on the back of an enormously poor season, that all of this must lie in having a training ground that looks like a hotel.
Simon, our approach to running the club is and has been to trust the experts to do that, Daniel, while backing them to be successful. The problems we found were deeper than we realised and were allowed to build over the last few years. That's why, having let things slide, I've been looking at Daniel and they think he let things slide.
But we've seen how they run it.
We've had to change it.
We've seen how they run it, haven't we?
Yeah.
So whilst I'm appearing, and I don't want to be in this position to defend Daniel Levy, I'm not his PR. I'm just giving a balanced view on the fact that I don't think these guys are up to much. And we'll see what they do. And it's very, very easy. And anyone with half a brain that isn't biased should look at that and read the room and go, right, well, I don't like Daniel Levy. Let's say that all the Daniel Levy guys, Levy Act guys, they should look at this and go, yeah, but what about you lot? Because you ain't much better either. And I don't really like bullies. I don't like people that gang up on people when they're not there to defend themselves. So if Daniel wants to defend himself, he should stand up and defend himself. But the fact is that they are part of it. And to suggest that they're not is just silly. And to suggest that they can just lay it at the door. And this guy is a spineless weasel. And being in a position, if that's your leader, like to coin an anecdote from a film, be frightened, be very frightened, because that's not leadership. That's cowardice. That's running with the hare and hunting with the hounds. And I realise in life you have to find a balance, and we can't all be revolutionaries. But to be so spineless and to be so disingenuous, although I do say that interview that we've played out as our sort of piece de la resistance to show what Snidey isn't quite the idea of saying that everything was right. He was just a sycophant in what would look like a ridiculous interview anyway. It looked like Waldorf and Stadler admiring one another. So it did look like a ridiculous interview. But no, it makes you want to see these guys get served up, doesn't it? It makes you want to see them, because they have been this season. How they got the audacity to say that ultimately everything's in someone else's camp when they presided over a whole 12 months.
Yeah.
We'll see. They will be better, though. Guaranteed they'll be better.
They better be. It's 11 o'clock.
Let's get back to some calls. Go to Darren. He's a Spurs fan. All right, Daz?
All right, Daz.
Hi. How are you, Daz?
Relieved. I'm not celebrating like some of the fans that have come on from Spurs. I think they're ridiculous. The only thing I did when the whistle went, I turned to my mates who I go with every time, and we said we're relieved, and we walked out the stadium because we just had enough. And the way fans are behaving, and calling out Chelsea, that's ridiculous. We finished 17th. They finished
10th. Yeah, they won nothing.
Hang on a minute.
They won nothing, though.
So did we.
Yeah, exactly.
We won nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, but we're a disgrace, and so are they.
Yeah, but we are more of a disgrace. And the way Tottenham fans are behaving is ridiculous.
I agree with him.
Well, you will agree with him.
No, you're speaking. He's the first one that's phoned up talking any sense.
Dazza, it's a shocking season, but it's over. It's over. Season's over. We're up. Cheer up.
It's over. It's embarrassment. What do you think people like Glenn Hoddle look when they look at that side?
I know. Well, they've got to sort it out, haven't they?
Legends of the club.
Well, they've got to sort it out, though, Daz, haven't they? Got to start again.
Yeah, they've got to sort it out, but there's no good when fans are turning around like we've won a cup. It's ridiculous.
The stayed-up trophy.
Good trophy, that, though, Daz.
The inaugural. Well done.
Mate, it's good trophy, that. Staying-up cup.
Yeah, it should be a toilet bowl. It should be a toilet bowl, because that's what it was. It was toilet. They should have stayed in the toilet where most of those players came from.
Holding up a toilet. Silver toilet.
That's a good trophy, that.
Holding that up a lot.
Get a picture of that.
Yeah. Someone will AI that.
Staying up trophy.
Someone will AI that and send it to us, mate.
Yeah. It's unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, Daz, enjoy it, mate. It's up. It's over. We can all relax now. Got the World Cup coming up.
He's the only one under a rock.
Just relax.
The only one that's got any.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 11:04, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. The morning after the night before, former Crystal Palace owner Simon Jordan's hailed a fabulous achievement for the club.
The fact that they've gone into the European Conference League and has won it, and then given themselves another season in the European landscape, is actually probably better for Palace.
An admin error kept them out the Europa League this season. Outgoing manager Oliver Glasner says Palace finally got what they deserved, and here's Simon on why letting Glasner go might not be such a bad call.
The individual responsibilities that you have to run a football club in the best way that you possibly can has to supersede. There's no guarantee you give Glasner 150 million quid, he finishes 2 places up the league. What does that achieve for anybody?
Current chairman Steve Parish says he won't be trying to change Glasner's mind. Now, with Anthony Gordon heading to Barcelona for a medical, what does this mean for Marcus Rashford? Our chief football correspondent Alex Crook says Barcelona could sign them both.
One of the attractions with Anthony Gordon, as far as Hansi Flick, the manager, is concerned, is that not only can he play on that left wing that Rashford has occupied for quite a bit of the season, but he can play up front as well. And, of course, they're losing Robert Lewandowski.
Still chasing Argentina forward Julian Alvarez. Atletico Madrid wants at least 90 million quid. We're told Bournemouth will be doing all they can to hang on to Ryan and Eli Krupi Jr. this summer. Meanwhile, West Ham's Callum Wilson set to leave on a free following their relegation. And the man who's predicted every World Cup winner since 2014 says it's finally time for the Dutch to break their duck.
The benefit that a team like the Netherlands has is they've got high quality and informed players across the entire pitch. There isn't a single weakness.
German economist Joachim Clements got England reaching the semis, and he told us Scotland's cold, wet climate stops the country producing more world-class players. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Who's to blame for young people not being in work, training or education? And online bank Monzo is launching a phone plan. Amelia's back at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 400 EV-ready centres across the UK, we're top of the league for electric car owners. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Another dry and sunny one for most of us. Very warm, hot in the southeast. A few showers across the south, some thundery.
Good morning, everybody. 7 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We'll talk boxing later on from 12 noon onwards. We're going to be joined by top fighter Ajit Kabayel, who you like a great deal, Simon, don't you? He's going to be joining us. Before that, we're going to be joined in studio by the giant kickboxer who had a serious tilt at Alexander Usyk at the weekend, Rico Verhoeven. He's going to be in this building. We should hear the thundering sound from the reception as Rico comes in. 17 floors down from where we are at the moment in the news building here at London Bridge. A very big night tonight in Portugal for a top defender who we've seen play here in England for, in fact, Simon's Crystal Palace, for Southampton, and playing latterly for West Ham United. Tonight, though, is his very final game because he retires as a player after tonight. And I'm talking about former Portugal captain Jose Font. He's played around 830 matches in what has been a glittering career. And when I put that to Jose earlier, he said, "No, Jim, it's a few more than that."
No, Jim, it's 882. You have to add the 50 caps with Portugal, so a few more. But today is an important game, obviously decisive game. And to be able to finish your career with something important, I feel very privileged. I feel very, very privileged to be in this situation, to have had the career that I've had. I feel very grateful to everyone that I've met along the way, and I just want to finish this day on a high. I'm really looking forward to it.
Listen, your first club in England, Crystal Palace, won the Europa Conference League last night. Did you ever envisage, Jose, that they would end up being European champions?
Yes, what a great achievement. Unbelievable. Since 2007, when I first arrived at Crystal Palace, funny enough, it was Simon Jordan that gave me the opportunity to go to England and to live my dream in the English football. I saw and I felt how special Crystal Palace and the club was. So for me to be able to watch them lift these last three trophies is just amazing. I mean, it's a great club, a family club. You really feel the love from the supporters, and it's just fantastic to watch the boys, conquering so many things.
You've played for a number of club owners. How does Simon Jordan rank? Where does he rank?
He ranks very high. Definitely someone that has a lot of character, a lot of personality. as we know. And yeah, he's one of the good ones in my eyes. Also, I cannot not mention Nicola Cortese because he was so instrumental, and I really like him. But yeah, these two were definitely high up there.
Oliver Glasner leaves Crystal Palace. How do Palace follow him?
Very tough, Jim. Very, very tough to go after Oliver Glasner. But I'm sure that Steve Parish is looking at the situation of bringing in someone that can follow suit. It's not going to be easy, of course. How can you go after a guy that has won you 3 trophies? But someone will be out there that can deliver. It's a very good club, organized, has everything in place to be successful. So it's a shame that he's leaving, but I'm sure that there's other people out there that can do the job.
Jose, you had 7 years with Southampton. I remember years ago for Sky interviewing you and Dejan Lovren. But listen, what on earth have you made of the Spygate situation?
Well, I have to say, Jim, I thought obviously it was wrong what has happened. No denying that. But the actions, if it was only the manager that was involved in this situation, or the manager and his staff, I feel it's very, very tough to punish a club and the supporters for something that one man has done. So in my eyes, if it was the manager's decision to do that, he needs to be punished, not the club, not the supporters, not the players. Obviously, it is wrong what he's done. But if the board had no idea what was happening, if the players wasn't aware of what was happening, why should they be punished? Why the supporters should be punished? I don't understand. Apart from that, it's what happened previously. I remember still what happened with Bielsa. Nowhere near as the punishment was nowhere near what happened to Saints. So I feel that it was super, super tough.
So next month, all roads lead to the United States. Portugal in the World Cup, what chance do you give your nation of winning it?
Well, they have to be up there with the big nations that can do it, no doubt. We have the quality, we have everything that we need to go very far in the competition. But then Jim, it's not only if you have the quality, it's a lot of things in football have to go your way so you can win. So you have to put as many details as you can in the right place so you can get closer to lift that trophy.
What about England, Jose?
England, of course, England is one of them. Some big decisions from Tuchel last week, controversial, but you guys have to trust the man. There's a lot of quality in the squad, and England will be up there. I have no doubt that they will be fighting in the later stages.
Listen, you're going to come back to England. Do you want to manage here?
Jim, absolutely. That's the goal. I'm already doing the badges, level 3, UEFA A, and the objective, the target, is to slowly build my way to the Premier League, to English football again, and I'm going to work very hard towards that.
Jose Font, enjoy tonight. Enjoy the experience, and thank you for everything you've given back as a player.
Thank you, Jim. I'm very grateful for everything you've done for me and for the English game, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again.
Jose Font speaking with me just a short time ago. Simon, you were listening. You remember with great fondness when he was at the football club.
Yeah.
But he's a special guy, I've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, he was a very good player. I mean, I sold him to Southampton, which is why he references Nicola Cortese, because actually he went down a division and then Southampton came back up through the divisions, didn't they? You know, a very good player and, you know, a very mature. I mean, you know, these guys that play in European football that speak the more than one language, it's often English players can't do that.
Yeah.
But he was a good player, had a good career, and at playing at 42 years of age and being as he is, I'm not surprised. Decent young man, good talent.
Yeah.
And he did a good job for us at Palace, and he did a good job for every club he's played for, and speaks very well.
And getting his badges together and hopes to come back here and coach in England.
Yeah, he could do that too.
The other side of this break, stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. The man who almost toppled Usyk at the weekend, Rico Verhoeven, joins us live in studio.
Whenever we've talked about potential England players for the World Cup, your name is always mentioned of players that we both think should be going. It's not just me and Ben, it's the listener as well. So I'm guessing you would have felt you'd done enough this season to have gone. How did you find out you weren't going? When did you get the call and what was said?
I think I got the call on the thing at Thursday, like everyone else did, whether they were going or not. A good, honest conversation. He just said, I think I've got people ahead of you right now. It's nothing to do with you. You've done everything that you could possibly do. I've really enjoyed watching you the past 6 months. Just unfortunate the way it is. And, you know, I respect him as a manager. I think he's a top manager, and I really hope the boys go on to do something incredible this summer, because they truly deserve it. Even the gaffer, they truly deserve it, because he's a top guy. And I appreciated the call, because he didn't have to call me to tell me I wasn't in the squad, so I appreciate that. But for me personally, it's difficult. It's so difficult, because you try and put yourself in the best possible situation to go, and I believe I did. But I think the game's all about opinions. I mean, you guys on the show, it's all opinions. Some are wrong, some are good, some are bad. And I've been on a lot of people's wrong opinions in my career so far, and I've always got over them hurdles and bounced back from it. So this is just another hurdle, another thing to bounce back from.
So I was going to say, so how difficult was it to take? Because again, me and Andy talk about it all the time, and I've been there, where you almost convince yourself that you've played well enough, so you're going to be going. And when that call comes that you're not going, that initial thought process that went through your head, was you almost like you in shock, or did part of you think it was coming?
No, I kind of, going into it, I kind of expected.
Thursday morning, 20 past 11, Jim White and Simon Jordan live on talkSPORT. Alexander Usyk beat kickboxing champion Rico Verhoeven in Egypt on Saturday night via a highly controversial 11th round stoppage. This was Rico's second professional boxing fight, and he caused Usyk problem after problem after problem throughout the night. In the 11th round, the Ukrainian Usyk landed an uppercut that sent Rico to the canvas. Rico got up, beat the count, but a follow-up from Usyk in the closing seconds saw the referee step in and wave it off. But what about this? The scorecards at the time of the stoppage read 95-95, 95-95, 96-94 to Rico Verhoeven. So by God, he came close, and Rico Verhoeven, somewhat battered and bruised, but smiling from ear to ear, just as he did the first time he was in here with Simon and myself, joins us live in the studio.
Yes,
it is
sir.
Great to see you again.
No, it's great to be back. It's great to be back.
Thank you for choosing us and this show to come in and join us, Rico. How close do you feel you came to pulling off one of boxing's greatest ever shocks?
To be honest, I felt like I was a lot closer than you were just reading up on those scorecards. To be honest, that is my opinion. That's how I felt. That's how I believed the fight was going. But we had the open scorecards, so we knew like after the first four, we were like tied up. I was like, I felt like it was a little bit, but okay, this is what it is. Then after another 4 rounds, so we were 8 rounds in, I was like, oh, I'm ahead now. I'm flowing. I'm really starting to feel it. And then just that we're still tied up. Like, and then, yeah, I was talking to, the thing in my mind went back, and then what my corner told me, like, hey, if we want to win this, we really have to win this. We really got to push it because they're not going to give it to us tonight.
So you went all out for the win.
Yeah, I went. That's why I kept on pushing. So I understand why the people at home maybe were looking at the fight and they were looking at the scorecards from the commentary from Mike Coppinger, and he had me 8 rounds ahead. So they were probably looking at the fight as, why is Rico still pushing so hard? He's in the 11th round and he's like miles ahead. So why doesn't he just relax? Because I knew it was close.
You caused them big problems.
Yes, sir.
And Simon's going to come in a second. The stoppage.
Yeah.
The 11th round. What is your take on that?
My take on that was that I felt like it was premature. Why? Because if you look at other title fights I've had, I had the same thing. I was maybe even further behind or worse, damaged in the beginning of the fight, and then still came out winning. And I heard the click, and the referee that's his job. He knows what part of the fight we're in, and he knows we're at the end of the fight. So I was there. I was responsive.
The click, you're coming to the end of the round.
Yeah, so last 10 seconds. So I was like, boom, defending, even punching back. Then I was like, that's not smart because maybe I'm going to get hit. Let's keep my hands up. And then he jumps in. I was like, okay, this is the end of the round. No, this is it. What do you mean this is it? I was right away like talking to him. So I was super surprised.
What did you think, Simon?
Oh, no, I think it was a bad stoppage. Despite the fact that I think that Usyk would have stopped him in the 12th round, and that was something he won't agree with, but I think he had the absolute right, not just because it was 11 rounds into the fight, but I think if the roles were reversed, and I said it to Peter yesterday, if he'd have had Usyk in that position, I very much doubt they'd have stopped the fight. And it might be because you've got, quote unquote, a kickboxer fighting in a heavyweight championship. There's no real visibility of the background to him, and he wasn't given the same courtesy, I think, that Usyk would have been given if the roles had been reversed. So I think it's undeniable. I think most sensible heads, most people with eyes will suggest, A, he was still throwing back. Yeah, he was taking some punishment, but he was still throwing some shots back. And B, the referee, whilst these guys have internal clocks and they know where they are in the rounds, it's the referee's job too. And if you hear the click, the referee should have been able to hear it too, and he should have been able to make a judgment which goes, this guy gets to go into a corner, gets to recover his senses, and comes out for whatever faces him in the 12th round. Yeah. So it was absolutely undoubted that it was a premature stoppage.
It's impossible to say, Rico, it's impossible to say, but had it gone into a 12th round, would you have come through that?
But let's talk about it. Let's dissect that for a second, because I hear what you guys are saying. So I'm like, hey, but what in the 12th round? He might have stopped you. Right. Yes, he might. He could have, but he maybe not. Maybe I'll just box it out. Because if we look at all the speculations,
That's right.
that I maybe shouldn't even, like, I came here the first time, I maybe even didn't even start the fight because they said, you're not going to come through the first part of the fight. He's going to stop you in the first 5.
Yeah.
No, he did not. I came all the way to the 11th. I feel like I was winning the better of the fight. And then this happened.
But at that point, the direction of travel was he had dropped you. You were taking more punishment in that part of the fight than you had done in the previous 10 rounds. So it's not unreasonable.
No, definitely not.
To say that the balance of probability is knowing where Usyk's been before and what Usyk is capable of, and the situation that you were finding yourself in at that stage of the fight.
100%.
There's a distinct possibility that he might have done.
We're going to head to a break in a second. What did you think of Usyk on the night?
I think he's a phenomenal fighter, but like my team told me, he's not going to show you something that you have not seen before. And they were right. He's a phenomenal fighter, but I didn't see anything I didn't see before.
You tell us, how close did you come to beating him?
Super close. I think, like, I was like, I was like, I had it. I just walked in straight to an uppercut. Okay, I made a mistake. Okay, let's go from there.
You stay right here, Rico. Rico Verhoeven with us live in studio. It's 11:30 this Thursday morning.
I've got a lot of mates of mine that Spurs fans, and they all told me that when you were coming off the bench, there was a lift at White Hart Lane. All the fans were getting very excited. Did you notice that? I know it might be not necessarily easy for you to go, yeah, when I come on, everyone was excited. But did you know that there was a lift towards the back end of the season when you were getting on the
Yeah, but I'd been out for such a long time that was... I kind of expected that, maybe not to the level that the reception they gave me on my first game back, but if Kulusevski came back, he'd get the same. Yep. I think that when you're out for that long and the fans don't see you for that long, especially when you're an attacking player, I feel like the attacking players always get a little bit more
love,
a little bit more excitement about you being back. If a centre-half's coming back from a long injury, it's probably not as exciting because they're not the goal scorers. But no, I'm truly grateful for the reception they gave me because it was amazing for me and my family to experience that. Yeah.
James, I've got to say, I mean, by Spurs standard, of course, we know it wasn't a great season, but what was that feeling like in the dressing room afterwards when all the emotions, not gone, but you've gone inside now, you have survived? What was that emotion like in the dressing room?
Just pure relief, mate.
Yeah.
Pure relief. Like, a few people were questioning why we were like celebrating almost. We wasn't celebrating in joy and happiness. It was relief, mate. It was a massive pressure game. There was a lot on the line, so we prepared for it like we prepared for the Europa League final. You know what I mean? There was that much on the line, if not more, probably.
Yeah.
So the celebrations at the end, which obviously the fun police come out and have a little bit of a go out, was more relief. Just the fact that we have managed to dig deep and get that last win, because I knew West Ham would win against Leeds. You could feel it. West Ham at home. West Ham have got great fans as well. We knew that place would be rocking and they'd probably get a result, so we knew we had to get something. And
when you were playing in that last game of the season, you were 1-up and then West Ham scored. Did you know on the pitch?
I was warming up and there was a fella behind me who just went, Madders, West Ham scored.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, well, I just said, calm, mate, we're 1-0 up, just don't even worry about that. And then he said, Madders, West Ham are 2-0 up. And I was like, mate, I just told you, just calm down.
Stop talking.
But we managed to avoid
that. Yeah, it turned out good.
With Oliver Glasner definitely off despite delivering Palace a fairy tale Conference League trophy, their former manager Alan Pardew says Andoni Iraola could take over.
I don't think there's a suitable sort of role elsewhere for him. So I think they've got a great chance of bringing him over the line.
Well, Glasner says Palace got what they deserved, finally securing that Europa League place. And having been left out by Thomas Tuchel, Adam Wharton was man of the match in Leipzig, despite being in injury doubt.
Stabbed my foot in an icebox. Yeah, it wasn't very comfortable, but I'm not going to miss a final.
Now, with Anthony Gordon on his way to Barcelona for a medical, what does it all mean for Marcus Rashford? Our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, says Barca could sign them both.
One of the attractions with Anthony Gordon, as far as Hansi Flick, the manager, is concerned, is that not only can he play on that left wing that Rashford has occupied for quite a bit of the season, but he can play up front as well. And, of course, they're losing Robert Lewandowski.
FIFA is being investigated over allegations of artificially inflating World Cup ticket prices and misleading fans. Legal officers in the US say the World Cup is not an invitation to exploit people. And England could play a warm-up game in front of 50,000 empty seats next week. They face New Zealand in Tampa's 69,000-seater Raymond James Stadium. The cheapest tickets for that are 54 quid.
He made a huge impression with us when he joined us just a few days before he fought Alexander Usyk in Egypt at the weekend, and he's doing exactly the same thing this morning. Rico Verhoeven is our guest in studio, live in this studio this morning. It's caused a bit of a sensation coming back in this building, I can tell you, because he has a few followers. He's got more than a few fans in this building, and he went so close on Saturday night against Alexander Usyk, but the fight was stopped in the 11th round. And it was stopped prematurely, according to Rico. There was still a bit more left in the tank. Rico, various people want to ask you various questions. I'm looking at all the messages coming in.
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, let's get into this.
Yeah.
What version did you fight of Alexander Usyk on Saturday night? Was it the version of Usyk you expected to fight?
Yeah, to be honest, I did, because that's what what we've as a team dissected throughout this whole camp. I've watched all his fights, and yeah, that's what I said. He showed me nothing I did not expect, but he showed me a lot that I did expect. An amazing fighter, being agile, being hard to catch, being hard to hit. So that's exactly what he showed me. But that's why I didn't just attack him, just tried to hit him with one or two shots. I kept on coming from an angle, going from orthodox to southpaw, which made it different than something that he's used to.
It wasn't the version of Usyk that you expected, Simon, was it?
Well, there's a balancing act, and Rico will rightly say, because I thought Alexander Usyk was poor. I thought from the physical conditioning, which Peter Fury talked about yesterday, suggesting that he put on more weight to fight him because he's bigger, but he had fought Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury's as big as him. So I don't hold much currency with that, although I bow to a much greater knowledge from Peter Fury. My view is that Usyk was a poor performance from Usyk. But the flip side of that, and Rico's point of view, and it would be right to say it, is he was poor because I made him poor. I made him look this way. He's worked out Daniel Dubois twice. He's worked out Tyson Fury twice. He's worked out Anthony Joshua twice. He's done Derek Chisora, but seemed to struggle against Rico. So you have to give credence to the argument that he will advance. The interesting thing for me is watching these guys cross over, whether it's Ngannou or him, The boxers can't cross over the other way. They can't cross into his sport. They'll get murdered in his sport. Yet these guys seem to be able to walk into boxing and be able to make the boxers and the elite ones now look like something that we haven't seen before. So my view is that Usyk wasn't where I thought he was going to be. But I have to give respect to him to say there's a distinct possibility as because of what he brought to the equation.
So, and first of all, I want to say that means a lot coming from you, because I know you have a very strong opinion and you tell your opinion. You say like, hey, no, but Usyk didn't look bad. And we were just talking about it off air. And that's why I like, maybe partly you're right. Like maybe he wasn't on his super sharp edge that he normally was, but also a part that, hey, maybe I also made him look bad. So, and those two together got to this result. So I thank you for that.
Why are the boxers, as Simon rightly says, finding you guys in Ngannou? You definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they finding you a real handful?
I don't know, because we're not coming from traditional boxing. So I don't know, maybe we move different. We show different angles.
I mean, logic tells us this shouldn't happen, that they should be able to deal with you.
Yeah, but why is that? But because I believe
sport, would it? If he came into your sport, that you would, with due respect, quote unquote, you would murder him.
Yeah.
And if he stepped into the octagon in MMA, he'd get destroyed.
Yeah,
but when you cross over into their space, it doesn't happen.
No, because
I don't know what it tells you about
because we're used to also using our arms. So we're used to boxing. We're not like elite boxers just like them.
Yeah,
but we can learn to a certain degree within a certain amount of time to get to a decent level. And I think, and also using our legs gave us a lot of extra condition and stamina in the legs. So we're used to like moving and bouncing around and taking also a lot of punishment, which you now take out of it when we just box. So that makes it very interesting.
Did you think you hurt him during the fight? Because I didn't think you did. I think you landed some good shots, but I don't think you particularly hurt him. Did you feel like you did?
Not like I hurt him that I was gonna get him out of there, but I definitely knew that the next day he would definitely feel hurt on the body, and I definitely think I put some damage in. Did that come into play?
Because the one thing that people talk about with Usyk is the body. They've talked about previously with Daniel Dubois, dropped him, and we had that long count, and people suggesting it was a low blow and so on and so forth. Was that part of the strategy? That sort of thinking that there was a weakness there?
Of course, because we should not forget that Usyk is a middleweight, is a cruiserweight that came up. So what does that say? That your basic physicality is not as a heavyweight. So you can land as a heavyweight, but taking punishment as a heavyweight is something totally different.
Rico, do you think Usyk underestimated you?
I don't believe so. I believe that wasn't the case. Because if I look at Usyk as an athlete, as a full-on professional, I do not believe he would have taken this lightly.
Mentally, though, he might have done.
Maybe, but that could maybe be the case because of everything that was happening around it. Like, for example, you guys you were like, hey, this guy doesn't have a chance because he has only one professional boxing match and this and that. And then if the whole world tells you that, maybe you also start believing it. So
you've been in here. I mean, the first thing he said when he walked in the studio, well, what a lot of fun we had in Egypt, didn't we? What a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, your approach is unbelievable. Here's the thing. You had a conversation with Turki Al Sheikh at the end.
Yes.
I don't want to betray any confidences, but hey, let's have a go at it.
Yeah.
And he's saying the rematch is on, right?
Yeah, but he said it live on TV as well, right? He came into the ring.
So this is what you fully expect to happen.
He said, like, I want the rematch. Rico, you were ahead. I want the rematch.
And you want it?
Of course I want the rematch. Because at least I want the opportunity to fight it out fair and square.
And this time, do you think Usyk would be different? This time, would you be exactly the same in your approach? This time, would you beat him?
No, but that's the cool thing. That was funny from what Simon said. Like, yeah, I saw Rico fight. I wasn't really sure about the style, you know, and it might have looked a little bit different. Maybe even looked a little bit goofy. That's why I also joke about it on Instagram. but I have different tools in my toolbox, and this was the perfect tool I was going to use for this fight. If I'm going to fight somebody else, I'll take a different tool. So yeah, we have a nail. How are we going to nail it in the wood? We can do it with a hammer. We can do it with a sledgehammer. We can do it with the fist. Whatever. We can do it with different ways. So yeah, for the next one, you're going to be surprised again.
I mean, do you want to see Rico fight him again, Sam?
Because of his personality and the fact that he is what he is, yes. As a sort of pious moralist, no, I want Alexander Usyk to complete his obligations to other fighters like Ajit Kabayel that have been sitting around waiting to have a world title shot. Whether he's kryptonite, in my view, and I think lots of people's view is the next time round Usyk would deal with him in the same way that Ngannou got dealt with by Anthony Joshua, albeit different fighter to Tyson Fury. He merits an opportunity because the nature of the stoppage was so poor that it creates this outcome. But as a purist, I think that other people merit it as well, and I think he should have another go, perhaps at maybe fighting Frank Sanchez or another boxer, because he's now, look at the personality of this fella. He's a star. He's got charisma to die for. So people are going to want to hear him and speak to him and listen to him because of the way he presents himself. You can have a conversation with him where you criticise him and he doesn't become a child about it. He can go, right, well, listen, hang on, here's a different view. And that is like gold dust.
Yeah.
So he's a star. So of course people are going to want to see him, and he can fight. We know he can fight in a discipline. We now know he can fight in boxing. So that makes him box office. And that is the reasons why, yes, I would. And on the other side of it, I'm kind of going, well, come on, it's Caballel's turn now, isn't it? Come on.
Well, on that, Rico, I mean, Frank Warren, who promotes Ajit Kabayel, who we're going to speak to in a bit, he says he's, quote, not going to stand for a rematch between yourself and Usyk again. Like, that's done and that's passed. It's Kabayel's time now. It's Kabayel's chance now. What would you say to that?
Like I said, I just came into the sport of boxing, and there are all kinds of rules and things that politics. I don't know how it works and how you call it, but like I said, for me it's new. For me it's just like, I'm here and I want to fight. I want to fight, and I want to fight the very best. And I was fighting the very best, and I was winning until this got stopped.
Yeah.
So
one thing you don't have, though, with respect, if you fight Usyk again, is that to a degree you've lost the surprise factor, haven't you?
Maybe to a certain extent, but I do believe that, like I said, I have different tools in the toolbox. So this was the surprise we used this time. And next time, I'm going to get a different type of surprise.
Next time, Usyk might be the same, though. He might think similarly.
Exactly. Yeah. But he has his certain amount of style and the way he approaches a fight. And I think we can dissect that.
If it's not Usyk, Rico, what do you think? Are you going to fight another boxer? I mean, this was only your second fight, and the second opponent was Usyk, and you damn near shifted him out there.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to be another boxer, top level boxer next? If not, Alexander Usyk.
Let's see. Like, to be honest, like throughout this whole week, my phone and my manager's phone has been glowing red. Like, we've been going crazy. Like the whole world is they want something. They were like, oh, maybe Rico fight this guy. Can we do this? Like the whole landscape of crossover fights is open. Like, of course, it started with McGregor Mayweather. Then we had the Fury Ngannou. Then we had the Jake Paul Tyson. Now we had the Rico Usyk. So I think the landscape is open, and especially also for the next generation, I think we opened the door.
Rico, Usyk apart, do you think you would beat any heavyweight boxer right now?
100%.
Do you think you would beat Tyson Fury?
100%. That's why I'm here.
Would you beat Joshua?
Of course. I was so close to beating Usyk, and they all got beaten twice by that guy.
Would you beat Moses Atoma?
I haven't seen him on the highest level. I've seen him to a decent level, fighting decent opponents, but I haven't seen him on the highest level. So I'm really curious to see what he does. If he's going to fight me or if he's going to fight another guy. Let's see how he performs when he gets like a serious opponent.
Simon's going to put something to you before we finish, but after all said and done, the experience in Egypt with Usyk, what do you think you proved that night?
That I'm a force to be reckoned with.
He's not wrong, is he?
Lots of ways. I mean, I keep on saying it because it's so rare to be in a room where you've got somebody that A, can articulate himself the way he does, can present himself, has the charisma, and has pretty much the chops to back it up, because as he quite rightly says, he was that close away from beating Usyk.
Yeah.
Irrespective of whether my view is that Usyk could have done better and Usyk in a rematch would do better, it would be interesting. And the moment, because I had no currency in this fight until this fellow walked into the room, and when I met him last time round, I'm not surprised that he had the kind of performance that he had, because when you meet him, you can't help but be sort of caught in the headlights of the personality. It's a crossover. It's this, and I'm not watching it, but I took it seriously because of him, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him next. I would be surprised if he gets his rematch with Usyk. I would be surprised if there's any appetite for it from the Usyk's camp or from people like Frank Warren that are going to allow Ajit Kabiel, who's been waiting long enough for his opportunity.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if he doesn't fight someone significant again, and we again get to do this interesting little dance about what he does, where he is, and where he's going, because he is brilliant.
Oh, you are.
He is brilliant.
You want to be a boxing world champion, don't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why I'm here.
I love it. Rico Verhoeven, you almost shook up the world. By God, you came damn close to it.
Yeah.
And it's a privilege and a pleasure to have you in again.
I think we shook it anyway. We were close, but believe me, the world was shaking after Saturday night.
And
but
it was a lot of fun.
Thank you guys so
Rico,
much.
thanks to your manager for bringing you again,
of course,
into this studio, because we were so pleased to see you today, and well done in what you achieved.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Really appreciate you, and you guys always be open for the conversation. Even though you have an opinion and I have an opinion, we talk about it. We can agree to disagree, and all in all,
you have my permission to go for his throat during the break. Not a problem. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Big week, big week, big week.
Come on.
Big week.
Can I get congratulations?
I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you very
See,
much.
do you know
I'm
how
not sour,
pathetic
man.
this is? You got a Tottenham fan sort of celebrating. You can't celebrate. You come in
Straight in.
I mean,
Straight, bro, at least like maybe a cup of tea first. Like, go straight in.
No, mate, because your entire gait and approach is wrong. This is unjust. This isn't how it works. Darren sitting next to me, giving it the big one, is just about fair enough. They're champions. They can get away with it. You can't come in here as a Tottenham fan and celebrate. You've got to celebrate.
You're smiling. Where did you finish?
Where did you celebrate?
Where did you finish?
I'm not celebrating.
Where did you finish?
No, we finished mid-table.
I'll put something to you. We had the same season as you.
I kind of agree with that. I just think it's crazy that you came in here. You came in here like the cat that got the cream.
No.
This is the thing.
No, I think
celebrate.
I think what people are confused about. No one celebrated finishing 17th. We celebrated the fact that we're not going to be in a championship. You don't get that. What don't you get about that? No one wants to be 17th, but once we're in a relegation fight, you want me to be upset that we're staying up, bro? I'm happy, bro.
I think it's shameful that you can find anything to celebrate at the moment. And this is the thing that Tottenham fans are doing. They're sort of going, we kind of won. We won. We succeeded. We made it. Like, no, you lost. The fact that we're having this conversation. We're having this conversation.
He's coming in for a different level of smoke.
Yeah, he has.
I had an ice cream earlier.
He has. No, literally, I was enjoying the weather. Yeah, he's coming in on war like,
honestly,
crazy.
I just can't believe it. I've witnessed you in real life. You've walked through the door like the cat.
You want me to come in here? It's 30 degrees outside. How do you want me to walk in?
I think you should come in here very reticent and basically say, "Oh my God, by the skin of our teeth, we got away."
Bro, you know I don't play for Spurs, right? You know that. I got my whole own thing going on.
No, I don't really get it. But what I do have to do is give a lot of credit to Roberto De Zerbi.
Yeah, fair enough. He done his job. He done well.
He changed his direction.
That was the last swing of the bat, innit? Like getting De Zerbi in, and he done his job.
Yeah. Do you think you would have gone down without him?
Yeah, probably. I think so. Probably. He galvanised everyone. I think he just brought everyone together, and people bought into him, which is important.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
It's hard to know where to go after Rika Verhoeven stops by. I tell you where we go to. Sean Martin from BetMGM. And Sean, before we start, good morning to you. Any early reaction to Steve Clarke from you? As a fellow Scot, has got a new deal until 2030. It takes him through the home Euros and to the next World Cup. What do you make of that?
Yeah, morning lads. Look, I think he deserves it. I think you cannot argue with his record. As Scotland manager, can you, Jim? No international tournament for what, 23, 24 years before he took over? That'll be 3 and 6 years when we go to the World Cup in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I think the players almost to a man speak about how much they enjoy Scotland camps, the culture he's fostered, all that. You don't often see anyone pulling out of squads, for instance. I think with a sensible head on next step though, that and I'm sure plenty of others, maybe yourself as well, would like to see is a bit more get up and go maybe at the actual tournament itself, because it's been conspicuous by its absence at the 2 Euros we've made. So fully back the new deal, but let's also kind of do better, maybe not the same.
What happens if you lot get pumped by Haiti, or a bad result against Haiti, get beat by the Moroccans and pumped by the Brazilians? How does that look? I mean, obviously I'll be cheering for that. What does that this pre-tournament awarding him a new contract, isn't it a bit strange?
It is slightly strange, I'm not going to lie. I think you're probably best placed to do it after a tournament, but nonetheless, I'm not even entertaining the notion at this point. I'm fully engaged in positivity at the moment for it. Come back maybe in 3-4 weeks and I might feel differently though.
Yeah, your German coach signed one before this tournament.
I had to listen to Mark McGee in his bloody studio trying to make a case for how difficult the game against Haiti is going to be. Trying to build in some.
You say that, Simon, but Scotland historically fall against the smaller nations, not necessarily.
Well, exactly. We've fallen at this hurdle before.
Well,
we know what it's like.
If you can't beat Haiti,
yes,
then what are you even bothering going to the tournament for?
Thanks for everything. Now, we'll talk about the next Celtic manager odds very shortly. Let's just have a look at the BetMGM Premier League darts final tonight in the O2. I've loved this, Sean.
Yeah, massive night ahead. Culmination of 16 regular season nights across the UK, Ireland and Europe. 4 players remain. Jim in contention for finals night at the O2 and a £350,000 winner's prize. It's first versus fourth and second versus third, or the 2 Lukes versus 2 Welshmen, essentially. So you've got Luke Littler against Gerwyn Price and Johnny Clayton against their defending champion Luke Humphries in the semis. Those are best of 19 legs, the finals best of 21. Littler's won his last 9 Premier League matches against Price, beat him all 6 times. They met this season and in the finals night semis last year. Clayton actually has the winning record over Humphries, but Humphries, as I've said the last couple of weeks, been on a tear lately. He's made 4 consecutive nightly finals to end the regular season. Also the only player to average over 100 for the entire season. In fact, it's actually over 100, 101, I think. So the 2 Lukes, short price favourites to get to the final. which would be the third year in a row that they've gone to toe-to-toe, sorry, for the Premier League crown. If it does pan out that way, Littler is a shade under evens to win it all. Humphreys just over 2-1. Price 11-2. And Clayton, despite finishing second in the table, is actually the rank outsider here at 8-1. And of course, since it's finals night, need to mention we're doing something special for it here at BetMGM. We're giving away prizes up to £10,000 in cash today with our golden giveaway. We're going to be at the Peninsula Spire right outside the O2 in London from noon until 7 p.m. It's completely free to play, so if anyone watching or listening is coming to finals night later or is just going to be in that general area today, then I'd say come find us. All you have to do is step up to the hockey, hit an even number, you'll then choose a key, unlock a vault, and that vault will have a prize in it. It could be tickets to finals night tonight, or it could be cash prizes up to 10,000. Of course, it's 18 plus only, T&Cs apply, but yeah, one for folk to look out for today ahead of
Good
finals
stuff.
night. Yeah.
Well done with all of that. What about the next Celtic manager?
I mean, there's only one name to start with, isn't it? Martin O'Neill. He is the favourite. He's now odds on, actually, Jim. I keep getting asked, the guys in the office, should he stay? And my honest answer is, I don't know. I think he probably deliberately didn't make it sound like that was necessarily his plan from the kind of things he said about his future in pressers and stuff mid-season. Maybe not the case since he won the cup final on Saturday. I know the market had Motherwell manager Jens Bertalasco as the favourite last week. He's now gone to Toulouse.
Yeah.
As I say, Martin O'Neill odds on, he's 1-2 that he stays. 2-1 for Robbie Keane to be the guy that comes in. Roberto Martinez 9-2. Everyone else is 12s or greater. All that said, after his first interim spell, Martin came on there and sat next to you guys and said he'd have been happy to stay had he been asked.
Yes,
instead of the club instead of the club diving straight into the Wilfred Nancy debacle. So I suspect, out of principle, if nothing else, he has to be expecting to be asked and consulted. Whether or not signing up for it is wise is almost another issue. But if he does, you know the support's behind him. The question will be how much the club decision makers get behind him in the summer to avoid exactly the same as this time last year when I sat here with you guys after losing the cup final and said the one thing I don't want to see is another summer with qualifiers where the club is reluctant to properly strengthen, a lack of coordinated levelling up, because it wasn't a one-off, it's a repeated failing that was papered over by automatic qualification. So a long way round to say if Martin O'Neill wants it, Jim, it's probably his, but hopefully the kind of fundamental issues with the club aren't forgotten just because the great man somehow managed to get.
Let's put it to Simon. Do you see Dermot Desmond having a conversation whereby he's saying to Martin, look, you did so well, you won the double, do you want to carry on?
Well, he should do, yeah. I mean, he should pay him what Rangers paid Stephen Gerrard or what they paid previous Brendan Rodgers. They probably won't. The question for Martin is first of all, put aside the energy side of things. He's got bags of energy. You've got a 78-year-old that can run America, and you've got Ronald Reagan that didn't start running America until he was 78 years of age. 74-year-old Martin O'Neill has got bags of energy to do it, despite his protestations the other day. The question for Martin is he going to be properly supported? Because he needs resource around him, not just players. He needs coaching staff around him. He needs a proper structure put in place because there isn't one there at this moment in time, from what I understand. So look at this situation and go, if I'm Martin O'Neill, I'd want a 2-year contract with a 1-year revolving deal with an option on my side based upon performance. I'd want to be paid properly and I want to have some support. Now, whether Dermot's going to do that is a different conversation. But should Martin do it? Well, part of me's torn, because if I haven't got him in the studio, I've got to suffer Kieran every week. The flip side is, do I think he should do it because you only regret the things that you don't do?
Yeah,
he should do it because he if he's supported properly, then he should do it. And I don't mean just get paid properly. I mean support properly, because otherwise what he doesn't want to do is have a season next year where he gets his backside handed to him because Rangers do have a go and Hearts do go again, and all of a sudden he's left holding the proverbial because Celtic didn't support him.
Okay, let's move it along. Adam Azim, who's in the studio, versus Steve Claggett this weekend. It's a decent fight. What do you think, Sean? Oh, he doesn't think a lot. You're back, Sean. You're back with us.
The signal went there, sorry.
Okay.
The signal went, sorry. Boxing, sorry, is it? Yep.
Boxing, yes, that's right.
Boxing,
Adam Azim Claggett.
Yeah, sorry. Dimitri Bivoli's obviously fighting this weekend as well. He's really short odds to defend his titles, but closer to home. Yeah, Adam Azim at Wembley Arena live on BBC as well Saturday night, so potentially a big audience for him there. Takes on Steve Claggett. Yes, you look at his record, you see 50 fights, 40 wins, 8 losses, couple of draws. Majority of those fights in Canada, never fought in the UK. But he did fight for a world title less than 2 years ago, took Teofimo Lopez the distance. Adam Azim, only 24, 14 fights in, won them all. It's a decent statement if he wins, but particularly if he stops him I'd argue. I heard Duke McKenzie on Top Boxing, Simon, say about a late stoppage. He's 9-1, 9-1 on, sorry, just to win the fight. But if anyone fancies going with Duke McKenzie's shout, then Azim in rounds 11 or 12 is round about 6.5-1. And even over and above that specific fight, and I was talking to the guys in the office about this morning, there's plenty to get excited about in terms of young-ish British boxers, either just at or just approaching world level. We see Hamza Shiraz last week. Everyone knows Moses Itoma now. Ben Whittaker's going to America soon. Daniel Dubois is only 28. Dalton Smith, Adam Azim, both at light welter. The next 5, 6, 7 years just looks very, very good across a spread of divisions, doesn't it, Simon?
Indeed it does. Indeed it does. And Adam Azim is a prestigious talent. And I look forward to, I think he'll win this fight, and I think he'll win it compellingly. I look forward to him get a world title shot, and then somewhere down the line, having this fight with Dalton Smith that everyone has wanted to see. They've tried to shoehorn him in early, and he wasn't ready. And there's nothing wrong with him being not ready to fight Dalton Smith, who's 5 years older than him. But that, when it comes, will be a great fight. And if they've both got world title belts, that will be a good fight. That will be a great fight.
Sean, thank you very much indeed. Visit betmgm.uk.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Obviously, we've just seen Arsenal win the league for the first time, Gilberto, since you were in the side. How happy were you to see that?
Very happy. We were expecting this for such a long time, you know. It's a long way since when we won back in 2004. But they deserve, you know, the last few years has been very tough to them to become second and chasing the title. But in the end, you know, something happened, they lost. But I was very happy, you know, expecting this moment. And to be honest, I was glad they won it in advance before the last game, because it would be a huge pressure. I think all of us are celebrating, you know, the moment, and they deserve it.
Gilberto, can you believe it's been such a long time? Because Arsenal are a big football club, and you look at it, you won it back in 2004, and there's been 22 years and Arsenal haven't won it. Could you believe that it's been such a long time that they've not at least won one in that period?
Yeah, it is, Darren, a long, long time. I think a club like Arsenal, you know, is when you see the magnitude of the team and the club itself, I see how it's possible. But for me, you know, in my opinion, there are some reasons. After the title back in 2004, you know, the Arsenal started to change a little bit, you know, some transition in the team, but also in the club, because then the Emirates came. Yep. You know, all the financial situation became hard for us and the board to control the financial side, but also compete with the other teams, as Manchester United, then Chelsea, later on City spent a lot of money, and Arsenal could not do it. And slowly...
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, here are your headlines at midday. The breaking news today. Steve Clarke will be Scotland coach until at least 2030. 7 years, Clarke has led the Tartan Army into 3 major tournaments, including their first World Cup in 1998. This one, of course, as Oliver Glasner rides off into the sunset after winning the Conference League. Former manager Alan Pardew's urging Palace to hang on to Adam Wharton.
Very much a key player in terms of opening the door for a team, and in the Premier League they're very, very rare. So I think he's a test for them. I'd love to see him stay at Crystal Palace another year, and I'm sure the fans would as well, who are still roaming around me here looking half-dazed.
We're told Barcelona want Anthony Gordon because he can play up front as well as out wide. We've heard Barca have agreed a £70 million deal with Newcastle for Gordon. Meanwhile, we're told Bournemouth are planning to hang on to Brazilian winger Ryan and teenage forward Junior Krupi this summer. A German economist, meanwhile, who's correctly predicted the last 3 World Cup winners, has told us Scotland's climate is stopping the country from producing more world-class players. Joachim Clement is tipping the Netherlands to finally break their duck at the World Cup this summer.
There isn't a single weakness, and on top of it, they have a really good defense. And as we all know, attack wins matches, defense wins championships.
He's got England reaching the semi-finals, and the kickboxer turned boxer who pushed Alexander Usyk all the way, Rico Verhoeven, says he felt very close to victory after a controversial 11th round stoppage. He told us he would be well equipped to re-surprise Usyk in a rematch.
How are we going to nail it in the wood? We can do it with a hammer. We can do it with a sledgehammer. We can do it with the fist, whatever. We can do it with different ways. So for the next one, you're going to be surprised again.
Listen back to Rico's cracking interview on YouTube and after White and Jordan on the talkSPORT app.
talkSPORT News.
A government review claims the school system prioritises qualifications over preparing young people for work, and 8,000 homes and businesses in Kent are currently without water. Find out more with Sinead at 5:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Keep spring journeys safe. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com to book your tyres, MOTs and servicing so you can drive away happy every time.
A dry and sunny day for most, very warm, hot in the southeast. A few showers across the south, some thundery.
Yes, indeed. Fresh back in the UK after being over in Egypt for glory in Giza. Of course, the big fight between Usyk and Verhoeven. Spencer Oliver, the last time we spoke to you, Spencer, you were dicing with death, broadcasting from alongside Egypt's busiest road. And a number of Egypt's fastest vans almost took you out. But I'm delighted to see you in studio. You've arrived home intact.
There's actually a story behind that, Jim. Actually, we did have a really good setting for that one. That was up in our rooftop bar, up in the hotel. There was a pyramids, was the backdrop. Everything was there. It was all beautiful, all set up. And with 5 minutes to go, we were demoted, kicked out of the hotel and put onto the roadside, where they were then coming to hassle us as well. We said we needed to do the shot there. Yeah, it was a whole drama going on in the backdrop.
Who did that to you?
And look at the deliverables.
Caroline McAteer.
No, it wasn't, mate. No, it wasn't. But look at the deliverables under all that pressure.
Oh, you were sensational. You were absolutely glitchless. The way you delivered that to us last week,
Absolutely.
You're almost taken out by a truck carrying bananas, but I don't think you know that yet. But we're delighted you survived, and you're here to tell the story.
You're delighted I survived. Mr. Jordan, he's got other ideas. He wanted me on that truck with the bananas.
He was speaking on his mobile to the truck driver. Spencer, good to see you. He has come and gone. Rico Verhoeven, not for the first time, has taken this building by storm. He almost took Alexander Usyk by storm. What did you make of it? Looking back in it, you heard Rico, and we'll hear a little bit from him in a second. But the 11th round stoppage, what's your version of events?
Yeah, it was controversial. Of course it was. Rico was well in the fight. I think I had it level going into that, going into that 11th round. There was nothing in it. The fight was to be won and lost. A 2-round fight, essentially. You got to give the guy a chance. You know, if you're talking about the history of him, okay, he's just come into this discipline, but you look at his kickboxing record, the way that he's come back time and time again, got off the floor to do that. The guy's tough. It was the 11th round. At the end of the 11th round, you got to give him the opportunity to sit down and take a breather. But Mark Lyson, the referee, to his credit, said that he did not hear the 10-second clacker. And that may have been the difference between allowing him to continue and not continue, because he's got a duty of care. He's got to look after the guy. He felt like he was in no position to come back. But, Jim, he did throw punches. If you look at the comparisons, you go back to Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois, and the way that fight was, going in from the 9th round, where I think we were all watching it through our fingers, going, when's the referee going to stop this one? And Wardley been given that opportunity. Fast forward a week or two, I think that Verhoeven should have been given the opportunity.
If this was boxer versus boxer, would we have seen the same outcome?
Well, that's a great point. I think that it all comes down to Mark Lyson saying that he actually never heard the 10-second clacker. And if he did, he may have let it continue. I think that's where we're at. He's not got a clock in his head, and what he's seeing, he's thinking, right, duty of care, I've got to jump in and stop this fight. But had he known that there was only a second, 2 seconds left on the clock, he may have thought about it differently.
The question that we discussed the other day, and it still remains the question, is there a bias because he comes in from a different discipline? Because I don't think either one of us thinks that if Usyk would have been on the receiving end of that kind of punishment and was still throwing, that he'd have been stopped, irrespective of hearing a clacker or not hearing a clacker.
Exactly. Totally agree. And I totally agree with that. So, yeah, coming in from a different sport, coming in from a different discipline, I think that there was, there was that element of, he's not going to get the opportunity that maybe a conventional boxer.
It's a silly question, Spencer, but if the boxers can hear the 10-second clacker, why can't the ref?
I think the noise, the atmosphere was wild, and the way the fight was unfolding and the way that it was going, and with Usyk coming back and looking like, this was going to be one of the biggest shocks in heavyweight boxing, and then Usyk starting to turn it around. I think it was just the element of surprise there.
Yeah.
But you should hear the 10-second clacker. You're in the ring.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm sure if I was in there, as a boxer, by the way, you do hear that.
Yeah.
Like, you hear that clacker, because that's when you think, when you're in a position like that, it's like, do I take a knee? Do I cover up? Do I try and do something? 'Cause I know the referee's looking close here. So you have to make that decision. That 10-second clacker does change the mindset.
Right. Well, in the last hour, if you missed it, well, where were you? Because Ricky Verhoeven was in this studio and he was sensational yet again. And he said, yes, I had talks with Turki Al Sheikh post-fight, and he wants to see a rematch. So we put it to Rico, do you?
Yeah, but he said it live on TV as well, right? He came into the ring.
So this is what you fully expect to happen.
He said, I want the rematch. Rico, you were ahead. I want the rematch.
And you want it?
Of course I want the rematch. Because at least I want the opportunity to fight it out fair and square.
And this time, do you think Usyk would be different? This time, would you be exactly the same in your approach? This time, would you beat him?
No, but that's the cool thing. That was funny from what Simon said. I saw Rico fight. I wasn't really sure about the style, and it might have looked a little bit different, maybe even looked a little bit goofy. That's why I also joke about it on Instagram. But I have different tools in my toolbox, and this was the perfect tool I was going to use for this fight. If I'm going to fight somebody else, I'll take a different tool. So yeah, we have a nail. How are we going to nail it in the wood? We can do it with a hammer. We can do it with a sledgehammer. We can do it with the fist, whatever. We can do it with different ways. So, for the next one, you're going to be surprised again.
Spencer, just in the passing, how did a kickboxer cause as many problems for Usyk than some of our bona fide heavyweight challengers like Fury, Dubois?
It is a great question.
AJ.
It is a great question because he shouldn't be, should he? He's coming from a different discipline where he has been dominant over the last 13 years, one of the best, if not the best, heavyweight kickboxer of all time. He's coming into the conventional way of boxing against a generational, and some say an all-time great in Alexander Usyk. So he should not have been able to do the deliverables that he done. But he done it, and I think it was that unconventional way that he had, that irky-jerky. It's like, speaking from a fighter's perspective, you like to know where the shots are coming from. You train a certain way, and there was no footage online that you could really see him in a boxing match. And that does make a big difference because you've got to have a game plan. But for Usyk, he had to work it out on the job. But he's the master at working out puzzles. He just couldn't solve this one.
What was your boxer's view of Verhoeven? How good was he?
I thought that he was, when you're watching it, you're going, he's doing nothing that's sort of outstanding. Everything he's doing is good. It's all quite solid. But it was the irky-jerky stuff where you can't quite read it. And that's a problem. So Usyk's there and he's being a little bit hesitant and he's waiting for Verhoeven to unfold at some point, unravel at some point, so you can start seeing the holes, setting the traps. And he didn't do that. Verhoeven, to his credit, stayed disciplined and right up until the fight ended. I think it was a solid performance. As I say, it was not something where you looked at it and went, wow, this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
He's a big old lump, very persistent, keeps coming, very tough. You put all those ingredients into a pot, and that's a difficult guy to beat.
Well, Verhoeven's trainer, Peter Fury, had a bit of an issue with some of the things he heard about his fighter on Top Boxing. When we come back the other side of this break, we'll talk about that.
David is an Arsenal fan. He's written the next big Arsenal song to rival North London forever. Good morning, David. How are you?
Good morning, David. Let's talk about the right side of North London now, people. Championes, championes.
Tell us about the song that you've written. Can you give us a blast on air?
Oh, I'd love to. So it's called "We're Going All the Way" by my artist named Guna Gonna Sing. So if you're finding out, have a listen, blast out. And there's a little bit of an intro with a bit of commentary from the end of the Atletico Madrid Arsenal game. And then it goes into it like this. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Unfortunately, we're ready.
Okay, here we go. We're going all the way. The champions of England say Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Rewriting history. Unbeaten every game we played. Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Mikel Arteta is our man. The Gunners going on for victory. North London is redder than ever. We're making history.
Oh.
You'll see, but we're going all the way. The champions of England say Arsenal.
Arsenal.
And there you go. You get the drift?
David.
When are you on top of the pops, mate? Deary me.
Listen, catchy, isn't it? Catchy.
Not one bit, mate.
I quite like that, David.
Terrible.
Listen, you're going to have to do more than that to get Gabby on
Terrible,
side this
David.
morning. Easy.
You'll be singing it in your sleep in no time.
Do me one favour, David. Never sing that again, please. Thank you, mate.
David.
Singing it every day, all night long.
Yeah, don't let the anti-Arsenal stop you, David. Thank you very much for your call.
I'm going for a break. Bye-bye.
It's going to be
I've got a
okay.
headache
You're
now.
going to be fine. You're going to be
terrible.
fine. Just hang tight.
Racket.
Steve Clark signed a new Scotland contract until 2030. That's the big breaking news in the world of football this lunchtime. Simon is still mulling that over. Obviously, the hierarchy in Scotland think that Steve is the man to take them forward, as do I. And I think we'll have a cracking World Cup, in spite of your cheeky observations about the problems that Haiti might give Scotland. What will you do if Scotland end up going further than England at this World Cup? Will you head to JFK and fly back?
That'd be so bloody ridiculous. That's just a ridiculous. I'm not even going to indulge that conversation because they're not going to, are they?
Are you slightly nervous about it?
No, not the slightest. What I am is deeply disinterested in Scotland. Only reason I have to endure them is because of you and your mate Rod Stewart popping up every 5 seconds talking about them. When you get sent back packing after about 2 weeks, or however long it is that the group stages last for,
all right,
we can all get on with the serious business of watching teams that actually can compete in the tournament.
Okay, well, Rod was saying he might show up for a meal with us one night, spot of dinner. You might need a
drop me out.
You might need a food tasting.
Drop me out.
Simon Jordan's suddenly gone down with a strange bout of food poisoning. How did that happen? We don't know.
Feces, thank you.
How did it happen on Saturday night in Giza in Egypt when came close, but it wasn't enough? Rico Verhoeven, who was in this very studio, almost shook the world against Alexander Usyk. The fight was stopped in the 11th round, and Usyk's arm was held aloft. But has boxing generational great in Usyk lost some of his shine? That basically is the question this lunchtime. Now, on Top Boxing, Peter Fury, like all of us, tune in to hear Spencer and Simon. And Peter Fury, who is Verhoeven's trainer, was none too happy with the view that was being pushed on the controversial Top Boxing that maybe Alexander Usyk wasn't at his best.
Usyk walks around a lot lighter than he actually boxes. Yep. Usyk probably walks around 95 kilos. He's lean. So Usyk piles on weight because he's a heavyweight, and he gets weight on extra.
He looked flabby though, Peter. He did look flabby. Come on, look at him against Dubois 12 months earlier.
Say 6 pounds. Okay, you're giving away 20 kilograms of solid muscle in weight. Yeah. So they've assessed Rico, and let me tell you, 6 pounds of a little bit of body fat around the waist helps you absorb shots.
Okay,
that's what I do know.
Flabby. Was Usyk flabby, Spence?
He was bigger than we've seen him. I think it was a career heaviest that he actually went into the ring, didn't he? But there's a purpose behind that, Jim. And the reason that you do that, the reason that you will put on that weight is because he was going in with a big guy. Obviously, he won't want to be too light. But then on the flip side of that, as Simon pointed out, well, he was lighter against Tyson Fury, who was bigger than Rico Verhoeven. So, there is an element of that there as well. I think what's happened here with Alexander Usyk is physically he's probably got himself into the shape that he needs to get himself into, and as much as he'll tell himself mentally that he's switched on, it's there's an element of something missing because he thinks actually it's going to be a lot easier than what it was. Underestimated Rico Verhoeven maybe, but putting that weight on, like, I don't really know what the reason behind it was, but it didn't work for him because he's a guy that's fleet-footed, very light, likes to use the angles, work the ring, manoeuvre around the ring. But he wasn't able to do that. The feet were very flat-footed, and that could be a number of reasons. He is 39. He has had the fights, the 2 fights with Tyson Fury down to Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua. He's had those fights with them. That will take its toll. He's 39 years of age. So, all right, he looked great in his last fight against Daniel Dubois. That doesn't mean that he can't deteriorate and not look so good. So, but you can't take nothing away from Verhoeven, who made him look.
I mean, Rico said that he doesn't think Usyk underestimated him, Simon, on the night. Do you?
Well, I was listening to Duke McKenzie talk about it, and I will listen to Spencer and Duke and Paul Smith because they're the boxing expertise. They've actually done it. And it's Duke said he thought he looked under-motivated and disinterested. I'm not sure that's entirely right, but I think Spencer's point is more salient. If you are looking at a threat and you can't help but mentally assess the level of that threat, Daniel Dubois represents a certain type of threat. Tyson Fury represents another certain type of threat. Anthony Joshua represented another. Rico Verhoeven, in comparison with those, would have represented a different level of threat. So perhaps mentally, he was a couple of degrees off the axis of taking that threat the way that he would have taken other threats. So he was less sharp mentally. So that might explain it. And it also might explain it that he was a box of tricks, Rico, that simply made Usyk look differently. And one of the things that Frank Warren was saying to me in the break was that the inability to be able to study these crossover fighters, not Jake Paul and those people, but the inability to study Francis Ngannou or to study Rico Verhoeven gives the boxers a disadvantage that they work out during the fight. That is the reasons why Usyk was better in the second half of the fight. That is the reasons why Tyson Fury was better in the second half of the fight against Ngannou, albeit we still think Ngannou might have won that fight. And that also combines with this mindset that we're not taking schmucks from different sports. We're taking elite performers that have got a world level mentality, that are world champions in their own sport, and putting them into the boxing ring. And that might explain the reasons why boxers are having a little bit of difficulty with the crossover guys from the other disciplines.
Absolutely spot on. That if you can't do your homework on these guys, because they are elite level athletes, and I think and Joshua's a prime example of that. When he boxed Francis Ngannou,
he knew what he was looking at.
That element of surprise wasn't there. He went out there and he iced
cleaned him
it.
out. Yeah.
I think that Frank's spot on with that assessment.
There's a great message, Simon, from Keith Fraser, a friend of this show. Last Saturday night was a poor look for boxing. It's a joke. Could a world table tennis champion face Djokovic and give him trouble? No chance. Boxing should take a long, hard look at itself. It belittles the sport. Was it a bad look for boxing, Spencer?
No, totally not. I mean, you can't take away
Usyk, the very best.
Yeah,
and Usyk, an outsider comes in and almost shook it up.
But let's get this right, guys. This is kickboxing, yeah? So he uses his legs as well as his hands. It's a discipline. It's a combat sport. They're big guys, very big, strong guys. Let's remember where Rico Verhoeven come from. Yeah, he shouldn't be able to come into conventional boxing and do as well as he done, but he did. But you look at his credentials, right? He has been in a boxing ring before, by the way, albeit at a much lower level. You look at his credentials. The guy's a 13-year world kickboxing champion, elite, all-time great.
But Spencer, if he'd beaten Usyk, what would that have looked like for boxing?
It wouldn't have looked like nothing for boxing. I just think it would have been great for him.
It would have been embarrassing for boxing.
No, it would have been embarrassing for Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, not for boxing. I think that you're getting it wrong there.
The best of the best.
Yeah, you're getting it wrong there, though. Like, it would have been the biggest upset in heavyweight boxing history, but not embarrassing for the sport of boxing. It would have been embarrassing for Alexander Usyk after all that he's achieved.
But say that, Spence. There is an element of that we all did suck our cheeks in, and we're glad that Anthony Joshua corrected the record, weren't we?
Oh, absolutely.
We were pleased with that Anthony Joshua went and sparked Ngannou because of what Fury had brought boxing into.
But let's flip this. Now Verhoeven's in this. He's put himself in the market. He's put himself in there for these big fights, and no one's going to bat an eyelid if he boxes Anthony Joshua, if he boxes Tyson Fury, because what he's just done there against Alexander Usyk. The guy's a bag of charisma. He's very charismatic, very infectious, and all that. Like we look at it and go, this is great for the sport of boxing. That actually he's come into it. So. That's
but it doesn't alter what Keith was saying to Jim on that text message. There is an element of that. I mean, I think it's not the greatest of analogy of comparing a table tennis player and a tennis player to a boxer, but I understand the point.
He's going with.
I understand the point he's making.
But I just think it's a very strong point when when you're talking about being embarrassing for the sport of boxing. It's not embarrassing for the sport of boxing. It's good because it gets people talking. So boxing's on hot on everyone's lips.
Because I had these three guys on Talk Boxing, all ex-boxers, all at very significant levels, going, but you guys cross over to their sport, you get your backsides kicked.
Exactly.
So how comes it's so easy for these guys to cross over to your sport? And they all bristled.
It's a great point, because you go into the MMA or you go into kickboxing, you are getting your arse kicked. No two ways about that.
We've yet to see someone have a go at that.
Because they're not silly enough to.
Silly.
And don't look at me for that, mate.
Ricky would be like, welcome to my world.
Absolutely. And it'd be a very painful night for whether that be Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua. Them crossing over into his sport. But look, Rico's good with his hands.
Spencer, when all's said and done, should Verhoeven get a rematch with Usyk?
I think that Cabiel's got to be giving his opportunity, mate. Let's get like this for the sake of boxing.
And for those who don't know, boxing, that's where we stand at the moment.
Cabiel's a WBC interim champion. He sort of stepped aside to allow this fight to happen. This is Alexander Usyk's give me because of the last 6 fights that he's had and the last hard 6 fights that he had. All right, great. And this turned out a hard one as well. Now Cabiel deserves his chance, but Rico Verhoeven deserves his opportunity against another massive main contender.
Alternatively, he can vacate the WBC belt and let Ajit Cabiel fight someone else for it and have his rematch with Rico Verhoeven if he wants to.
But whoever's going to fight Usyk next, Simon, Cabiel is the next cab in the rank.
As a WBC, yes.
Right, okay. Just so happens that Ajit Cabiel is waiting to speak to us live next.
Joey is on the line now. Joey, you're an Arsenal fan. Good morning. How's things?
Good morning, Joe.
Morning, and no good morning to you, Gabi Abonlaho. You've been doing my head in since Saturday, the 17th of August 2013. And that was the season I got my season ticket. You came into that game, you mesmerized our defense. We lost 3-1. I got home and my wife asked me, "Oh wow, Gabi Abonlaho has done this to you." And every time I have a bad day out there and I get home, the first thing my wife asked me is Gabi be doing your head in? Gabi, you're doing my head in, and
I don't mean.
You've turned yourself to become the big ambassador of anti-Arsenal. Like, you just go after Arsenal. You go after Arsenal every single day. Gabi, for goodness sake. This morning we're talking about Gordon. You went all the British press, tried bringing the British players. And then, in the same minute, you're saying you don't want Arsenal to win the Champions League. Gabi, that is a conflict of contradiction. You have an apparent bias against Arsenal. And you've been doing my head in since 2013, Gabi.
Joe,
For goodness
listen.
sake, let me have a break.
I don't want you to have a bad day because of me. I want you to enjoy your day. The weather's good. I want you to be happy, Joe.
Joe, that was brilliant. That was some rant. I really enjoyed that. Keep them coming in with 3717 2233.
I don't mean to do that to Joe.
Yeah, no.
I don't like
you're
that he's
right.
having bad days.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I want to have a very good day listening to us on the radio.
Yeah. And you know what? If you don't like it, there's a button in your car, and you just turn that off.
Yeah, but listen.
With Oliver Glasner definitely off despite delivering Palace a fairy tale Conference League trophy, their former manager Alan Pardew says Andoni Iraola could take over.
I don't think there's a suitable sort of role elsewhere for him. So I think they've got a great chance of bringing him over the line.
Well, Glasner says Palace got what they deserved, finally securing that Europa League place. And having been left out by Thomas Tuchel, Adam Wharton was man of the match in Leipzig, despite being in injury doubt.
Stabbed my foot in an icebox. Yeah, it wasn't very comfortable, but I'm not going to miss a final.
Now, with Anthony Gordon on his way to Barcelona for a medical, what does it all mean for Marcus Rashford? Our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, says Barca could sign them both.
One of the attractions with Anthony Gordon, as far as Hansi Flick, the manager, is concerned, is that not only can he play on that left wing that Rashford has occupied for quite a bit of the season, but he can play up front as well. And, of course, they're losing Robert Lewandowski.
FIFA is being investigated over allegations of artificially inflating World Cup ticket prices and misleading fans. Legal officers in the US say the World Cup is not an invitation to exploit people. And England could play a warm-up game in front of 50,000 empty seats next week. They face New Zealand in Tampa's 69,000-seater Raymond James Stadium. The cheapest tickets for that are £54.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Massive weekend of boxing on DAZN. Friday night at York Hall, Charlie Edwards takes on South Africa's Siko Kotole. And then on Saturday, the feud finally gets settled in Houston. Shock Foster sends his WBC Superweight Featherweight title against Raymond Ford. Later that night, pound-for-pound star Dimitri Bivol returns with his light heavyweight titles on the line against mandatory challenger Michael Eifert. 3 fights, 1 weekend, all of them on DAZN. We're talking boxing this lunchtime. Spencer Oliver has returned from the pyramids of Egypt. Took him a little while, but he found us again. And he's back in studio here on the 17th floor of the News Building at London Bridge, as this Thursday lunchtime, as we always do at this time of the week, with Simon and myself, we talk boxing. We were talking with Rico Verhoeven, the man who almost shocked the world on Saturday night over in Giza. Spencer was there, as I say. Rico Verhoeven came close against Alexander Usyk, but Usyk won it with a controversial stoppage in the 11th round. But now all the talk is Ajit Kabayel. Is he going to be next for Alexander Usyk? The German is the WBC mandatory challenger. Usyk must defend his WBC title against Kabayel next, or face being stripped of the belt. It's with great pleasure this lunchtime we welcome Ajit Kabayel to the show. Ajit, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. And you?
Good. Thank you very much. Simon is here. So too is Spencer. Before we do anything, what did you think of Verhoeven's attempt at toppling Usyk? What did you think of the fight in Egypt?
You know, the people talk many things for the fight, but it is what it is. You know, Usyk win. You know, this fight was very close. You know, I see also very close. Maybe after the 10 rounds, I see with 1-2 rounds, Verhoeven win the fight, but Usyk stopped him. Referee stopped the fight.
Ajit, it was good catching up with you out in Egypt, and we talked to you about the opportunities of fighting Alexander Usyk if he comes through. He has come through. You've been very patient in that. You do get your opportunity, but there was talk there about an immediate rematch going in with Rico as well. But Frank Warren has doubled down and said, no, it is definitely you next, and we see that in Germany, even Turkey.
Yes, I wait so long for the opportunity, you know. I'm the next for Usyk for the WBC title. But now, when I come back to Germany, I think Usyk is scared from me. He will not fight with Kabayel. I think he will make the fight. He will make the rematch fight with Rico. You know, he say, you ever know, understand he can beat Rico better. And now he can watch the fight, you know, for him, and he can make the analyst. But I think when he fight with Kabayel, this is a different fight, you know it. And now I think he's scared for Kabayel.
You're saying he's scared of you? You think he's running from Usyk?
Yes, 100%. Why he accepted the fight, and he say when Turkey Al-Sheikh make happen this, Turkey give me the words before the fight, he will make happen this. Why not we talk, you know? Normally, Kabayel was Usyk. I'm the WBC mandatory. I don't know why we make, I hate this word, you know, politic. Normally I hate this word, but I'm the #1 challenger. Kabayel was Usyk, makes sense. We can't sell out the stadium in Germany. And yeah.
So if that, I mean, I have watched you over the last 3 or 4 fights and been remarkably impressed with your performance when you chopped down Makhmudov before everyone started to see what happened to him. Obviously, Frank Sanchez and Zhilei Zhang. I think you got yourself into deep water in your last fight because I think you were a bit gung ho, but you dealt with it. I think it's your time. If this situation that you're projecting perhaps manifests itself, I don't think he's frightened of fighting you, but notwithstanding that, if that situation does manifest itself, what are you and Frank going to do? You're the WBC. We've seen it before in this country with Dillian White being made to white for years and years to get a shot at a WBC belt. What are you and Frank going to do to prevent the situation where you keep on having to wait? Are you going to force Usyk to vacate and then you have a shot, or you automatically get elevated?
Yeah, I think Usyk will vacate the title. You know, I think Frank when Frank says this, you know, Frank's talk about with the team from Usyk, and I think we wait after 1 week. I think we have a 1 week time, the team from Usyk, and after we will see come. But I think Usyk will not make the fight with me. This is in my head.
And you don't want being a fighter, you want to win it in the ring, don't you? You don't want to be elevated. You want to win it in the ring, don't you?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I will fight with Usyk.
Did you see, when you look at Usyk, and I don't want to draw you into a criticism situation, but we've all been quite critical of Usyk's performance. When you looked at Usyk, did you see someone that wasn't prepared for a fight or someone in decline? Because you must have been licking your lips at Usyk's performance in terms of if he fought that way against you, he'd have a world of problems.
You know, the problem is from Usyk is a great boxer, you know, but You know, you never, forget he's a 39-year-old. You know, he's not so explosion before 2-3 years, and I see in his eyes I can beat him.
And if that was to manifest itself and the WBC title was to become vacant, then it would be, you must have had those conversations that if that situation arises, who would that opponent be? Who would be next off the rank? I think Filip Hrgović was in at WBC number 2. Lawrence Okoli's in, he's got his problems outside of the ring, so he's now out. He was the WBO number 1. Where would that opponent, have you had conversations on who would be next off the rank? Obviously, we've got Moses Atauma as well.
I fight everyone. For me, it's no problem. For the belt, I fight with everyone. Send me location, I'm ready. We can make this in Germany. We can make this in UK. Wherever you want, I'm ready. This is no problem. For the belt, I fight for everyone.
I mean, you guys talk boxing every week, Simon, and we do on this show, and you have your own podcast with Spencer. I mean, what do you think fight fans want to see? To me, it stands out a mile. Rico gave it everything, came close, but he had his moment. I think they want to see Ajit against Usyk.
Listen, the boxing fan, the purist, there's not even a conversation here. Ajit Kabayel has earned his position. Simon reeled off the names there. When you look at it, going back to 2017, even when he beat Derek Chisora for the European title, this guy has been in with the names. He's earned his right. He's worked his way up the ranks. He's been patient and allowed this fight with Rico Verhoeven to happen with Alexander Usyk. It's his shot. It's his time.
And the man
the boxing fan wants to see him versus Alexander Usyk.
I know he's listening, obviously. Does Kabayel beat Usyk?
Off the back of that performance, Kabayel 100% beats Usyk off that. If that Usyk turns up in their next fight, Kabayel wins.
This is what I say. This is the biggest fight what we make right now for the boxing, and we can go to the stadium in Germany and. I don't know. So much people in Germany wait for the fight,
I mean, the problem for Ajit is that ultimately in the WBC rankings, if we're talking about WBC, Fury's ranked behind him. Fury's fighting Joshua. Okoli's ranked behind him. Okoli's in trouble with drug bans and so on and so forth. Joshua's in the top 4. Joshua's fighting Fury. So it's a difficult one to see where they're going to pair him.
So how it works with the WBC rankings like that is they're the one that's next available. So let's say that we've got...
It's Hrgović.
Yeah, well, there you go, because Hrgovic's number 2. So
Hrgović.
And Hrgović is obviously looking for a fight. We were talking about Hrgović versus Moses Atauma. So let's say that fight manifests itself and that fight happens, which is August the 8th, and I believe that is happening. You go down the rankings, you could have someone down at... Deontay Wilder. Okay. He's a massive name commercially.
Ajit.
Let's do it. We're in Germany. Deontay Wilder was Kabayel.
Ajit, let me ask you this before you leave us. In conversation with Rico Verhoeven, he was on the show live a short time ago. He said he had a toolbox he took in to fight Usyk, and he used the tools on the night. If he was to fight Usyk again, maybe he would use different tools. What's Ajit Kabayel's toolbox in order for you to fight Usyk and beat Usyk? What do you do?
What I do, I think I will pressure him, when I go, I see in the fight, Usyk hate when you go to the body. In this fight, I see also, when Rico gives the punch to the body, he hated, And, when I fight with Usyk, I have my game plan. I think Rico have his game plan. When the fight coming, the fan will see what make Kabayel was Usyk.
I think what we'd have to do is tell Alexander Usyk to go and speak to Frank Sanchez and talk about the body shots that you finished him off with, mate, and how to protect those ones. That would be probably best for him.
I think the people understand after the fight Frank Sanchez versus Torres, who beat Kabayel.
Yeah.
I think Frank Sanchez is also a big name,
Yeah.
But I hope the people give me the respect now.
Yeah. Ajit, one thing we really like about you is the same as Rico Verhoeven, there's no trash talk. You just tell it as it is, and we much appreciate that. Thanks so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you, sir.
What a guy he is, isn't he?
Good fighter as well.
Yeah.
Good fighter. I mean, people had a certain view of him until he fought Makhmudov. And when he chopped Makhmudov down, and people were like, wow. And then he chopped Frank Sanchez down, and then he dealt with Zhilei Zhang, and he had to get off the floor to deal with Zhilei Zhang.
Yeah.
He's a very good fighter, and it'll be a very good fight that he participates in if he fights Usyk.
We've had a lot today, haven't we? With Rico Verhoeven live in studio, Ajit Kabayel live from Germany. Going to finish off with a burst of Dana White today. You want to hear that? Stay with us. Piers Morgan has pushed back at fans who claimed that he shouldn't have been on the pitch at Palace on Sunday celebrating the title win with the players. Morgan and his sons Bertie, Stanley and Spencer were all on the pitch alongside fellow celebrity Gunners, actor Jake Wood and comedian Jack Whitehall. But critics highlighted hypocrisy from the likes of Morgan, who had previously gone for Mikel Arteta, calling for him to be sacked in 2022, to now share photos with the manager and the players on the pitch. Morgan, for his part, pointed out that he paid 4 750 quid hospitality tickets for his family to be at Selhurst Park before he was invited on the pitch to be a big part of the whole thing. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see exactly what I mean. Is there anything wrong, Simon? Anything wrong, Danny, with celebrity fans getting celebrity privileges?
I have mixed emotions about it. I mean, you could make the same argument for Noel sitting up on the stage holding one of the trophies that was celebrating Pep Guardiola's 20 trophies.
But that was a special event.
And so,
and he played a part in it. He was doing some interviews.
And so, to some extent, it was a special event on Sunday. I'm not a great fan of it, but I was a miserable old sod when I was there. I wouldn't, when Ronnie Corbett once asked me for some tickets, I said, "Have you got a season ticket?" We were playing Liverpool in the cup semi-final, your lot, and he said, "Can I have a ticket?" I said, "Have you bought a season ticket?" Rather than just be generous to spirit and go, well, celebrity fans are part of it. They raised the profile to some extent because we had Bill Nighy, we had Joe Brand, we had Bill Wyman, who the players never even heard of. Clinton Morrison didn't even know who the Rolling Stones were. I don't know. There's a part of me that goes, no. And there's another part of me that thinks, oh, so what? In the great scheme of things, do we really care that much? I mean, are they taking... Did Piers Morgan take anything away from anybody else? He paid 750 quid a ticket to go there.
Get ready to get the ultimate football fan winning feeling with talkSPORT Win.
Now we're into the final week. This Monday, someone is winning the trip of a lifetime. You could be England's first game against Croatia, June the 17th. Return flights, accommodation, spending money, tickets, and the official Adidas match ball. The Trionda all thrown in. Here's how to enter. Your chance to win. Head to talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338. Text online entries cost £2.50, a standard network rate. The number to call is 0343 418 7260. Entries got to be in by 4 o'clock Monday afternoon. 18 plus. UK residents only. It's a talkSPORT promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksportwin.com. We're in the home straight today, talking boxing, of course, with Spencer and Simon. And, of course, a lot of the conversation of late has been around the promoters. We know, of course, all about Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. We know all about Queensberry and Frank Warren. But now we have another lot on the block, and they are Zuffa, Dana White and Zuffa. What are they all about? What are they going to do? Well, talkSPORT's Adam Catterall got himself in front of Dana White as Dana White discussed his motivation with Zuffa and why he's got himself and Zuffa in boxing.
Well, when I was growing up, the United States dominated boxing. It was massive. And then over the last, 25 years, it's become more of a European sport than it has American. So my goal over the next, 5 to 10 years is to rebuild it, not just in the United States, but around the rest of the world. And, if anybody knows, it's you. If you look at what we've done over the last 25 years with the UFC, is we travel this thing everywhere. I gave the guys that are out there running the sport right now more credit than I should have. I thought they'd be a little better than they were. I thought there'd be a little more, I don't know. I expected more. And I'm definitely disappointed in that regard, because I love competing. But
in what way? Are you talking about talent acquisition? Is that what you're referring to?
Everything in the sport. I expected it to be tougher. I was expecting some countering and some, I was expecting more of a battle than it's been. So the answer to your question is, yeah, we're going to start locking up everybody and putting on the biggest fights we can possibly put on.
Well, your experience that you've gained within the UFC and obviously building the UFC to what it is obviously now giving you a playbook of how to make a fight organization. So I kind of want to talk about UBOs and the Revival Act with the Muhammad Ali American Boxing Revival Act. Just give me this from your point of view. How does that make the sport of boxing better?
Yeah, I think that the Muhammad Ali Act was put in place for all the right reasons, but nothing's perfect. And we're not getting rid of the Muhammad Ali Act. We're expanding it. And the only ones that seem to be upset about it are the British guys who don't fall under it, which is fascinating to me. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but put in place for all the right reasons, but definitely not perfect. And it hurt the business in the United States, I think.
So a UBO, for example, would make the business of boxing easier, a lot better, more.
Well, let me ask you a question. So think about this. Nobody wanted to touch the UFC in 2001, late 90s, 2000, 2001. Nobody wanted to touch it. And now everybody in the world wants to invest in mixed martial arts. I mean, I just saw another group of people are going to throw another $60 million at it. And you don't see anybody trying to do that with boxing. If you could, boxing has become a very European sport, like I said. Mm-hmm. You want people to want to invest. No networks are investing in boxing anymore in the United States. Any of the big casinos aren't excited about it the way that they used to be. I mean, the sport is completely. Every time these guys put on a fight, it was going out of business, sale, and they just tried to scoop up as much money and run as they could, and then they'd pop up again a year or two later. And that's not how you build a real business.
See, listen, I'm really fascinated in this part of the conversation because I think you're right in what you're saying. The American side of boxing is one thing, but here in the UK and here in Europe, it has been different over the last 2 years in particular, where promoters are starting to work together. They're bringing the fights, they're putting things on, they're all on the same network. DAZN, for example, have invested here in the UK. So do you
I
see
think the reason everybody's coming together and working together is because of Sheikh Turkey. Otherwise, they would not be. Yeah. Sheikh Turkey is the one. I mean, you say whatever you want. This guy has completely transformed the sport of boxing and made it completely relevant again. And what's crazy is when you look at boxing got to a point where it took so much money, like Saudi money, to make a fight happen. You know what I mean? It just, that's how broken the sport got.
That was Dana White having a swipe at a number of things that boxing has tried to do in this part of the world. In conversation with Adam Catterall, Adam putting some good points to him. What's your take on what Dana White was saying, guys? Simon and Spencer
Well,
still
I
with
get
me.
the impression that he talks about liking competition, but I don't think he particularly likes difficult questions. I get the impression that he only gets questions that are asked that he wants to be asked, and people don't get access if they'd ask him any more difficult questions. So that's a strange dynamic. He talks about boxing, and he's taking Turki Al-Sheikh's money. So with respect, this is Turki Al-Sheikh driving him. The Muhammad Ali Revival Act is an absolute disgrace what he's trying to do, which is a land grab, because he's told you himself. Don't listen to what his mouth is saying. Listen to what he's done previously. He said that boxing was everything in boxing he didn't like. He didn't do in UFC, and that what they didn't do in UFC was pay the fighters. So the Muhammad Ali Revival Act is designed to protect the fighters. What he's trying to do is reboot it into a different dynamic, so promoters and managers can do what they want again. That can't be good, and the fact he's not being challenged is poor. I don't think he actually knew what he was talking about from that perspective. But the reality of it is he's another voice, another noise in the space. I make him right for saying that certain fights weren't being made, but boxing wasn't broken. It wasn't broken.
I was going to add to that and say, listen, talking about boxing being broken, without the investment of Riyadh and Turki Al-Sheikh and Seller, boxing would still continue. We would still get the fights. The fighters wouldn't be getting the money that they are getting now. That is for sure. The Tyson Furies, Anthony Joshua's and all the rest of it, they're in a good place at a good time, and that money will balance itself out. But I don't think boxing's broken. I think boxing's very, very strong, especially over this side. Might be broken in America for whatever reason. That's their own politics. But over here, for sure, it's happening.
Well said.
Be good to get Dana White in this studio one Thursday lunchtime, wouldn't it? Simon, thank you very much indeed, mate. As always, Spencer Oliver, terrific.
Thank you, sir.
Did you get your luggage back from Egypt? Is it still in some carousel in some African country?
The luggage is firmly back.
It's back.
Yes, it is.
Great stuff. I look forward to Spencer wearing that tank top again. That I love so well. It's 1 o'clock.
Let's get back to some calls. Go to Darren. He's a Spurs fan. All right, Daz?
All right, Daz.
Hi. How are you, Daz?
Relieved. I'm not celebrating like some of the fans that have come on from